this. We have all this going on in 24 hours. So it's okay to feel overwhelmed because we all do. But it is Antifa Friday, friends. Thank you for being here. We know you have many, many choices to make every single morning, and we are so grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. There's a gifting goal today. Please consider helping us out with that. Let's tap so that we can keep us on the FYP. Maybe today's the day we'll avoid our restriction. Who knows? You know the drill. You want to support the channel, you can do so in a couple of ways. We are 15 subscribers away from our next level of subscriptions. If we can get that, we'll do another spin of the wheel for some merch. Speaking of merchandise, if you go to the link tree that is in my bio, it's FactsStillMatter.site and or Facts HQ. That's where the merch store is. We are trying to help our friends Brett and Nikki Cross out. There is a fundraising campaign that's happening. You'll see the GoFundMe link there. Also in the merch store, if you go to the merch store now, you'll see the first item you see in the merch store is a t-shirt, The Sound of Children Screaming. Has been removed. That is directly from the audio taken from Uvalde the day that they lost their son Uzi. So if you would like to support the channel, support them that way, any and all proceeds from the sales of those shirts will go directly to them. So it's a great way to lend your support to the community, to make a bold, powerful statement, and also to help support Brett and Nikki. Their Cash App is there, the GoFundMe is there, the merch is there. So there's lots of things that you can do to try to help. Thank you, guys. Also, don't forget about joining our Discord. If you haven't yet joined our team, please do so here. And again, 15 subscribers away from our next subscription level so that we can do another event. So I've just been thinking about how I wanted to kind of address this today. And like I said, I'm feeling overwhelmed too. I'm certainly feeling overwhelmed about this. But I think we should kind of tiptoe our way into these conversations before I lose my shit, because I think the most important thing that I think we should be addressing here is when you have the administration that is just, lying. Lying is the understatement. I think it's important to kind of, like I said, back our way into this, because I want to remind folks exactly what, by the way, this shirt is also available since we were talking about universal health care and education reform yesterday. And I got so many DMs from some of my fans who said, you're just a radical fucking leftist. You'll never have that in America. So I decided to, pop the shirt on, hashtag I am radical. Yes. Everybody, thank you for being here and thank you for participating in that. This is what's been told. We knew this was going to happen. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but we were told this was going to happen, right? We were told about threats levied against American citizens. And we don't have to, it's not hyperbole. We can just go to the horse's mouth or the jackass's mouth, because this is what he told us. And it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military. The bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, really? Radical lunatics. Radical. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military. So we've heard the enemy from within comment. We know what that was like. We know that there was a reach out to President Bukele from El Salvador saying, we've got some bad people here. You should take American citizens, homegrowns, as he called them. So that's what we're seeing, right? It is an autocratic fascistic tenet where you use basically your perceived power to go after your own. So the lies being told regarding the situation with Senator Padilla, where he was in there to question Kristi Nolan, which is not only his right as a citizen, but his duty as a member of Congress. And he was forced out, pushed out, situation that just one lie after another. So let's address that first, because that was so fucking disturbing. That, this is, and again, because of the mouth-breathing, incompetent, ignorant, traitorous, treasonous, just delusional fools that voted for this man are cheering it on. The same people that had their feelings hurt because they were told to wear a paper mask so that kids wouldn't die are now totally fine with everything that's happening, because you've been conditioned, because you're in a cult too. Don't forget about the gifting goal, friends. You help us out there. Appreciate it. So let's go to this was Senator Padilla being interviewed. by Jacob Silverhoff from NBC. And I just think it's interesting. He's speaking. You've all seen the video by now where he's forced out, pushed down on the ground, arrested, hands behind his back. Let's just hear his perception or his perspective as to what happened and how he's going to address specifically what Kristi Noem said.
At the press conference after you came outside of the federal building in Westwood, we've heard more extensively from Secretary Noem and the Department of Homeland Security. And I want to just tell you a little bit, because I'm sure this has been a whirlwind, about what they've been saying. Secretary Noem said that you, quote, lunged towards her at this press conference. The Department of Homeland Security said the Secret Service believed that you were an attacker.
You've seen the video, friends. There's no lunge.
And the Department of Homeland Security called this political theater. What's your response and what's your version of what happened?
Well, first of all, that's ridiculous. It's a lie, but par for the course for this administration, right? So here's the stage. Look, I was in the federal building here in Los Angeles for a scheduled briefing. Just as one of my colleagues and I had to go all the way to Guantanamo Bay to begin to get information about that facility being used as a detention facility. They've been non-responsive to requests for information. And so I had scheduled, they approved a briefing with representatives of the Northern Command in that federal building. We were there prior to the 10:30 original appointment dates when we caught wind that Secretary of Homeland Security is going to be down the hall at a press conference. And our briefing was now delayed because of that press conference. So since the secretary has been non-responsive, I figured let me go over and listen to what she has to say. Maybe we can glean some information here.
So let me make sure I understand that. Go ahead.
So the whole time, right? We're the whole time being escorted in this federal building by somebody from the National Guard, somebody from the FBI. I've gone through screening. This is a federal building. And so tell them, let's go listen to the press conference. They escort me over to that room. And I'm sitting in the back of the room behind the cameras, behind the reporters, listening. And at one point, it was just too much to take. Not the first, but the second attack on the political leadership of California and this notion that Donald Trump and Kristi Noem had to come in and rescue the people of Los Angeles from Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. It was too much. And so I spoke up. I introduced myself and said I had a question. Look, they said I wasn't wearing my pin. My polo says United States Senate. There was no threat. There was no lunging. I raised my voice to ask a question, and it took, maybe half a second before multiple agents were on me.
So in a situation like this, like we always discuss, there's going to be two sides. So Kristi Noem and her team, to defend what the fuck they did, they're going to say he lunged. And then Senator Padilla is going to be like, I didn't lunge. I have a right to be there like everybody else. Go to the tape. Just, you can watch it yourself, right? And then the interview continues a little bit more. So this is
communicate on a.
Oh, that's Pete Hegseth. I don't want to listen to that piece of shit. Do I have more sound from him? I think I do. I don't. It's okay. Doesn't matter. Point is, right? An elected U.S. senator, right, who was there to provide his congressional oversight responsibilities. In other words, doing his job. U.S. senator aside, he is still a citizen. He is still a citizen. So you know how we often talk in this space about being objective. So we just ask objectivity. We just that's all we ask for. If you're gonna play it, then play it both sides the same way, right? You're gonna address these kinds of things. You're gonna address criminality. You're gonna address whatever it might be. All we ask is that you be objective when doing it. So an example of being objective would be, imagine, if you will, if your favorite senator, if Ted Cruz or whomever were to do the same thing during a press conference and to be thrown on the floor and arrested, you'd be losing your shit. You know you would, but you're cheering it on because you've turned politics into sports. And it's just, I'm not even going to say that it's dangerous. I don't even want to call it dangerous. It's just pathetic is what it is. It's pathetic. You can't have it both ways. You can't claim that you support the National Guard being on the ground in LA in violation of the law and then not criticize and be cheering it on when the president orders them in and not have the same energy when it comes to J6. That's the issue that we have, right? That's the. I guess I'll just deal with this for a minute, and then we'll move on to the. I'll take out the trash in just a moment. Good morning. How are you today? I'm fine.
Doing well,
How are
sir.
you?
Oh, good. Thanks. How about yourself?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
We spoke. You probably don't remember, but we spoke months and months ago, and I predicted to you that things were going to go this way. I predicted what I call the transformation in the American political system, and we had a good civil conversation. But at the end of it, you said, you're crazy. That would never happen in America. I'm not trying to toot my horn. I'm just saying that in fact
you weren't talking to me, friend, because I've been calling this from the get-go. So you may not have been me that you were talking to.
I think you said you'd be impeached before it actually happened, or something. You were convinced you'd be taken. Really, I apologize.
No, no, certainly not me. So are you still in support of what we're seeing?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This is the first chance we've ever had for a meaningful, substantive, transformative change.
Okay, so let's have a civil conversation. So again, do you have the ability to be objective?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I guess we'll see.
Well, indeed, yeah.
Okay, so do you believe that? First of all, do you believe that the administration has been honest with you regarding the situation in Los Angeles, for example?
No.
So you don't believe that they've been honest with you?
I think that there is such a thing as operational, security, and you need to,
That's not the question I asked. That's not the question I asked.
No, well, they necessarily need to keep some secrets.
I'm not talking about keeping things. I'm asking about being honest. So when the president and when Pam Bondi and when others go out and tell you things that are flat out not true, that can be proven easily, those are bold-faced lies. Like, for example, the president said that he had communicated with Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, in regards to the National Guard. And Gavin Newsom said, conversation never happened. There was never a request made. In fact, that's what the district judge ruled yesterday. Okay?
Yes.
So again, that was that. So do you believe the president overstepped his authority in calling in the National Guard?
No, I think that it's according to the unitary executive theory, he's right on the money, so to speak.
Okay, but but we don't have the unitary executive.
Well, it seems like we do now, sir.
Well, sir, no, this is what I'm saying. See, so okay, you've proven to me that you can't be objective. I'm not talking about in your fantasy land. I'm talking about the reality of the day. Currently, I know you may desire the theory of the unitary executive, and I appreciate you being honest. Hold on, I'm not done.
According to the status quo.
Hold on. Thank you. I know you desire that, but in our system right now, we do not have that. So again, I'm asking you to show me, because you said you could be objective. Do you believe under our current system, the president violated his authority? Or broke the law, basically. Do you believe that?
That's the most harsh possible way to put that phrase. But I would suppose that, legally speaking, according to the things the way they are right now, he may have overstepped. But I would say that's necessary.
Okay, so that he may have overstepped. So are you comfortable with a person who takes an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the same Constitution that he just violated?
But there is a higher source of law than the Constitution, and that is actually where the Constitution draws its sovereignty.
What is the higher source of law?
It's the first 3 words of the Constitution: "We the people." We the people are superior to any document. The good of the people.
Okay, I understand. That's not the question I asked, though. The question I asked is, if you believe that he violated the law, there's no more supreme authority. The Constitution is the Constitution. I know what you desire. You desire this theory of the unitary executive. I get it. It's already in Opus Dei. It's in Project 2025. I understand it. I've studied it. The specifics, though, are he violated the law.
That's a
and are you in support of that?
So he may have acted illicitly according to constitutional rules. That's the word I'm going to use. I think that under that, again, there is a higher law. As he said before, he who saves his country violates no laws.
That's, again, sir, that is your opinion. Do you understand? Do you understand that there's
I acknowledge your point of view.
Hold on. Do you understand that there is a fundamental difference between an opinion and a fact?
Yes.
The facts are such that we have a constitution. Would you agree?
Correct, and it's definitely empowered.
Wait. We're going to step through this one at a time.
Sure.
Yes or no questions. Yes or no questions, please. We're not going to
Yes
say,
or no.
I'm not going to.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Do we have a constitution?
Yes.
Is it the law of the land?
Yes.
When you take an oath to it, which the oath is preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Yes or no?
Did he take an oath? Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So he took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then if he took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, he is therefore violating the Constitution because he did act illegally, illicitly, whatever you'd like to use. I mean, numerous times. We're just talking about the situation in LA, numerous times. So then you support the President of the United States violating the law? Yes or no?
Now you're a very clever polemicist.
It's logical consistency.
You're framing it in the most harsh possible way.
How else would you frame it?
Anytime you operate
did he or did he not violate the Constitution? Yes or no?
I would say he did not violate. He did.
Really?
Maybe he did things unorthodox.
Unorthodox.
Okay,
so did he have a right under federalism? Did he have a right to federalize the National Guard under the Constitution? Yes or no?
Well, yes, and Lincoln did as well.
No, again, wartime. Significant difference. Nice
some
try,
would argue not, sir.
I don't care. I don't care about some would argue. I'm talking about what the truth is. The reality of the circumstance is. So when can the Insurrection Act be? When can we use
President
the Insurrection
Trump,
Act?
sir, wasn't the man throwing cinder block through car windows and lighting cars on fire. He wasn't the one doing that.
So who's responsible to police something like that? Law enforcement or the federalized National Guard and the Marine Corps?
So a little disclosure: I do live in Los Angeles.
I don't care.
Karen Bass is a very
answer my question. I don't care. Who's responsible to police cinder blocks being thrown through windows? The National Guard, the Marine Corps, or law enforcement?
It goes up the ladder. If you can't handle it, it'll get kicked up a notch. So originally it would be the police. The police were handling it.
No, that's your opinion. What did the LA Police Department say?
Well, of course they would say that everything's honky dory because they have riots like downtown all the time and they do nothing about it. And the crime is out of control. Okay,
so it's interesting. Very interesting. So do you see what you're doing right now? You're proving to everybody in here that you cannot be objective. You're proving it. You said you could. So I'm questioning that because to me, you are absolutely not being objective at all. Because if you were being objective, you would look at the situation to say, law enforcement. From
your point of view.
Well, no, it's from the point of view. When we're talking about logical consistency, you're all over the place. LA,
I don't think I am.
Okay. You also thought that we're operating under the unitary executive. So sorry, your feelings.
I would like to, but we're not right now. I admitted that.
Okay, so you're proving my point. Thank you. Yeah. So when the Los Angeles Police Department says we've got this under control, we don't need this. When did the violence escalate, sir? Do you know when? Have you been following the timeline? When did it escalate?
I have. It was not peaceable to begin with. There were cars being torched on day one.
No, that's not true. Why were the first arrests made? What were the
I don't exactly know the reason the first number of arrests were made.
Do you know what it was? Do you know what the first arrests were? Do you know what it was?
Is there conclusive evidence that these were the first arrests? So it's been like definite. So what were they then? What were the charges?
Failure to disperse.
Well, that's a serious charge, though.
Is it?
Potentially, yes. You could have a very serious.
Listen to the words you're saying, sir. Potentially. This is what I mean. You can't be objective. I'm asking you to take off your red hat for just a moment. And I'm just asking you to listen to a few things. I would like you to prove, because you said you could be objective. Okay?
Yes.
So what we know from the situation, if you're going to choose to believe the administration, we have a difference of opinion, obviously. So how do we disprove it? Like if I say it's one thing and you say it's something else, how do we break the tie?
Well, I'm assuming there is information out there. So I believe you when you say those are the
Okay. So the information is failure to disperse.
Yes.
Misdemeanors. Failure to disperse. The serious activity came when ICE showed up. That's when it got really hot. So then ICE was called in because so what they're doing is we've seen numerous cases where people are being unlawfully and illegally detained. I'm not going to ask your opinion about that because I'm sure you probably agree with that too. But there was absolutely no justification for mobilizing the National Guard, none whatsoever. In our system, who is responsible for leadership of the National Guard?
Well, the governor.
Okay, right. So the governor. So then outside of the law, the only way that the National Guard can be mobilized is through communications with the governors. They either request it or under extreme conditions like war, insurrection, those kinds of things, that's when they can become federalized. None of that existed. The president lied. The president lied about activating the National Guard. And then the Marine Corps, why are they there?
Well, they're there.
Be objective. Try to be objective.
They're there to make a statement.
A statement. So the United States military on the streets of America is just there to make a statement?
I suppose the same thing could be said of what happened to Mr. Padilla.
Here we go. Okay, so Mr. Padilla exercising his constitutional rights, and not only as a citizen, but as a member of Congress whose responsibility it is for oversight, went into a press conference and then was manhandled?
I think we're pretty far along the transformation. I think that actually...
So you support, basically what you're saying is that you support a dictatorship?
No.
Oh, no, you do. How else could you describe it? So I'm going to see if you're logically consistent. So you supported the president calling in the National Guard?
Yes.
So why did he not call in the National Guard on January 6, 2021?
I would say that probably, well, I don't have a reason. I off the top of my head, I don't have a reason.
Oh, you don't have a reason. So I can give you, I'm going to ask you to think about this logically for a second. Okay. So let's look at the events themselves. So would you agree, yes or no, that the situation in Los Angeles is in opposition to the Trump administration policies? Is that a fair assessment?
I would say in opposition to legality at all, but the administration.
Well,
the people are behaving abominably. They're lighting things on fire, throwing bricks through windows. People have been hurt.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Well, again, that would be a law enforcement activity, right? That would be a law enforcement. So if that's your argument, hold that thought. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's a law enforcement activity. So your justification for calling in the National Guard was because of people throwing things at windows and smashing glass. Did I hear that correctly?
No, not necessarily. Again, it was to make a statement, I think. It's to show the governor and specifically.
Okay. So
it's a demonstration of law and order.
Okay. So then why do you not have the same opinion towards the events of January 6, 2021? Because my belief is that because what was happening in LA is in opposition to the Trump administration policies, and the events on January 26, 2021 were in support of Donald Trump. So can you explain to me, this is where logical consistency comes into play. This is where I'm asking if you can be objective. So if
that's a logical consistent point.
Hold on. So if you support the National Guard being mobilized to support law enforcement because of violence, your words, then why then would the National Guard not be called into D.C. to do the same thing?
In this case, it's not a question of intent, I think. It's a question of timeline. In January 6th, when that happened, President Trump was a lame duck president. I would think he had far less power.
He was still was he or was he not the president?
But he was a lame duck. He was the epitome of a lame duck president.
Was he or was he not the president?
To your point, he wouldn't have had the authority with the people around him.
Was he or was he not the president?
He was the president, but
hold on. Who is the commander-in-chief of the D.C. National Guard?
Well, it is the president. But there are presidents and there are presidents.
Why then did the president not call in the National Guard?
I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to, but the generals would not go for it.
Oh, you wouldn't? So is there any evidence that he tried to?
Well, I know he tried to do a number of things, and Milley forestalled him.
Who is the commander-in-chief of the National Guard?
It's Trump in practice, but I know for a fact.
No, it's the president in practice. It's the president in practice.
It's a matter of objective fact that Trump tried to bring in more troops to D.C. and was prevented by Milley.
When?
This is you know that as well.
No, sir. No, you don't. This is my point. You are absolutely unable to be objective. I want to recap the conversation. When I asked you initially to talk about the justification for calling in the National Guard, you said it was because of violence and to show force or whatever that might be.
Yes, that's step number one.
Hold on, I'm not done. You justified the president violating the law to do so. Then I ask you, in response to the exact same situation in D.C., the exact same scenario where police officers are being assaulted, and in D.C., actually, you don't even need to go through a governor because the president has command and control functions over the D.C. National Guard, and you're pivoting it around it, looking for excuses. You cannot be objective. Do you think it's possible? You're not being objective.
No, I'm being honest with you. There's presidents and
no. You might be being honest, but you're not being objective. There's a difference.
Well, I'm trying to be as objective as I can. As I know, I could look it up right now. There were huge debates, and there was a falling out actually between Trump and Milley over it. That Trump wanted to have much more.
Who is the commander-in-chief? Who is the commander-in-chief of the DC National Guard? He acts through
subordinate officers, though. The president is not in direct command of every unit.
Who is the commander-in-chief?
The president, of course. Are you saying that Milley didn't obstruct Trump during his first term? It makes a huge difference.
We're not talking about the first term. We are talking about the events.
J6 was in the first term.
But you said it was lame duck, so we'll dispel that.
Yes, and obstructed by his officers.
Friend, listen. No, again, you are looking to hide in your blanket of the cult. I'm asking you to be objective. If you cannot sit here and say that the president who took an oath to the Constitution to preserve, protect, and defend violated federalism by going around the governor, because that is what the issue is. That's why the court initiated an injunction. The appeals court paused it. It will be litigated. You are okay with that. You are okay with that. Violating, to use your argument, going around everybody. But you're not okay. Now you're claiming that Milley or someone else got in the way for J6. This is why you prove my point that you cannot be objective. I am just asking. I do this every single day, and I am just asking people to look at the facts. So, do you believe the events in Los Angeles are an insurrection?
I think from what I've seen, the different national flags, the violence. I don't know how else you could describe it, but some kind of revolutionary.
Then what was January 6th?
I suppose that would have been similar, but again, it's the fact that Trump. I can tell you for a fact there was a huge falling out immediately after Trump had a photo op.
So you believe American citizens protesting, throwing rocks at cars, and doing that. You believe that is
lighting cars on fire, and they didn't do that in the Capitol. They never lit any cars on fire.
Okay, but what did they do to the Capitol?
Well, they were inside of it at one point.
How did they get in?
Well, that's a matter of discussion. I mean, there's a lot of people
who say that they were let in. It's not a matter of discussion.
Well, they got in.
It's not a matter of discussion.
They were there.
It's a matter of they smashed windows, did they not?
Some supposedly did, I think. Some would have.
No, not supposedly. Did you watch the videos?
I saw the videos, yeah.
And what did you see in the videos?
I saw a confused mass of people, and I saw just a confused situation. Whereas in LA...
Okay, so I want to reset. Can you...
I got up, I called a pastor. I told the pastor that I drank somebody's blood in the dream and I really feel like I am contaminated. And he said that, yes, it's a form of initiation.
Talk pidgin, no sister. Talk about for pidgin.
Wait, yeah. Pastor, man of God, you talk say person, they will eat dream. They give blood for dream, eat drink. I say, yes, now me. And the person don't talk for some person, don't seek help for some people. I say, yes, now me. Because actually, breaking Wednesday last week, I be actually dream. I be with my childhood friend. They remove blood, put them for strips.
Madam, mute yourself small. Mute yourself small. I don't ask the madam, mute yourself, please. Mute yourself. People don't really follow community on the year. This lady, Madam Elianewa, talk say E1 travel. And then E they talk about the name of the birth month, last 3 months of the year. And F, the person winner E, he get that strong relationship with F. Make them find out if the person where he die, whether he name na F. Make the lady go find out. If he doesn't not get person with na F, as me go find out, come up. May find out, come up, and I would like to attend to that woman so that if he send information, it's very important. May go find out F. You know, when people don't find out, they will not be able to get the confirmation. When that person say F, go find out. They need to say, man of God, no, man of God, no, man of God, no, there's nobody. I say, go and find out. Madam Elane, don't go find out. Madam Elane.
Yes, emoji.
then your entire conversation is out the window. I don't know if you guys know what the unitary executive theory is. Unitary executive theory is Project 2025. It's a consolidation of power under the executive, because people who live in that delusion land, you can read about it in Opus Dei. If you can read about the history of the Opus Dei movement, which is a sort of a right-wing cult within the Catholic Church specifically, they talk about the unitary executive, right? People like Bill Barr, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito have connections to Opus Dei. Okay, so they Russ Vought, people that are connected to Project 2025, that's their blueprint. Like their blueprint to, it's a different way to say dictatorship. It's their blueprint. Their blueprint to how they want to see government run. Stephen Miller, people like that. The idea behind it is that you consolidate power, so you don't have to go through the checks and balances that we have here in our system. So again, I don't know if he was being sincere in his argument, but I think we did a pretty good job of destroying it. So the idea, as we talk about, right, I just want logical consistency. You can't see, it was in the Da Vinci Code as well. They talk about it in the Da Vinci Code, but it's a real thing. I just want logical consistency, right? How can you be logically consistent and say that the events of, first of all, people don't know what an insurrection is. The legal definition is a violent act or uprising against a government or authority. You know, throwing rocks at cars is not, I don't, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck if a Waymo dealership gets a cinder block through the window. I really don't care. I'm not an advocate for violence, but this is what we're talking about now. We're talking about people's constitutional rights being violated. We're talking about civil rights being violated. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that. Since we had to restart, guys, if you could help us out, get back to the FYP. We had like 1,100 people in here, which I don't know. It's a TikTok thing. Anyway, those are conversations that I generally don't like to have with people who are that delusional, but I think it's necessary. You can't call for law. What? You can't call for law. What'd you say? You can't call for law when you vote for a felon. Yeah, exactly. You can't call for law and order when you vote for a felon. So, you know, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, you have to carry the water once in a while for that kind of bullshit. But thank you guys for coming back. I appreciate you very, very much. Anywho, you think the USA is over? Do I think the USA is over? I think in a way, I hope it is in some regards, because I feel like there's an opportunity here to finally get what we deserve. Like we deserve universal health care. We deserve to overfund public education. We deserve to have the rich people pay more. We need to do away with, I believe we should outlaw lobbying. Citizens United needs to be overturned. Taxation policy needs to change. We need to be protecting civil rights, expanding rights for women, any marginalized communities. So things like that. So I hope it's over in that regard. But I just think it's an interesting, can you imagine, first of all, coming into my live saying, hey, you know, I don't want to, you know, blow my own horn, but, you know, you told me that you didn't think this was going to happen. Where the fuck has he been? Has he ever seen any of my lives? I've been talking about this going back to the end of his first administration. Are you kidding me? It's crazy. Okay. Thank you guys for bearing with us. Chat is full of MAGA today. What the hell? I know, and they're too afraid to come up. They lied to themselves. All right, so I had this up earlier. This is the whole no kings thing. Do I still have it? Yeah, there's that. We don't want kings, but it is Antifa Friday, so I want to put this up. I have an update for you guys on a couple things. Remember, I was mentioning to you guys that we had my daughter's band was in a contest. The votes are in, and her band finished third. But the band that won, the margins were really close. It was 10% between the first three. So her band members, they get to split $1,500 amongst the 15 of them in the band. So each school's music department gets $100. So it becomes a certificate as representative. It becomes immortalized. So it's pretty cool. But because it was so close, the organizers of the event invited the bands that finished second and third to be part of it. They're not going to be able to play, but they are going to be able to be on stage and meet the band. So that's pretty cool. I was worried a little bit, but she handled it very well. She handled it like a pro. And then last night, since we're talking about joy is a form of resistance, I've been open and honest about my daughter's battle with cancer when she was younger, 2-time cancer survivor. She is a wish kid. And last night, the gentleman who is now the boss at Make-A-Wish Vermont was celebrated for 10 years of being the chairman for 10 years. My daughter was the first wish kid that he met actually on his first day of work. We had taken our trip and we'd gone back to the office to pick up a couple of certificates, and he replaced the person who helped facilitate her trip. It was literally his first day. He was walking into the office and got to meet. So my daughter is the first wish kid that he met, and she sang for him last night at this special event, and it was overwhelmingly emotional, and it was an amazing thing. So joy is a form of resistance, friends. So I just wanted to share that with you. So, and again, thank you everybody who voted. It was super close, and she handled it very, very well. Disappointed for sure, but she said, we can just do it next year. I'm like, yes, you can. So thank you for being here. Okay. So, Legend, you're on fire today. Somebody asked, hey, who was that guy that got the live taken down? And Legend responds, spank ass McFuckface. Yeah. Yep, that's about right. Okay. I want to kind of get back to the regular scheduled programming loop on what we just had. Whether he's trolling or not, it's not very good at it, right? It's just not very good at it. I just want people to be objective. And that goes for all of us too. Just be objective, right? Just be objective. Can you be objective to say, was there anything good from the first Trump administration? I would say changing, cruelty to animals, changing it from a misdemeanor to a felony. I think that's a good thing. Sign me up for that all day long, and I will give credit where credit is due. Okay? That's not that hard. It shouldn't be that hard for people to do. I have no issues with calling something that's good policy or legislation that. Okay? But to come in and claim that you advocate, think about this. Advocate for giving the president in our system a system that was created so that we don't have any more of these things, right? You want to then scrap the entire thing, the American experiment, as they say, throw it up into a ball, toss it on a fire, and call it a day. The consolidation of power to the executive, blurring the lines. Oh, I know. Stephen Miller's totally calling the shot. That's what you advocate for. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being so lost? I got to reset the goal. Can you imagine being so freaking lost that that's what you do? That you are like, I'm cheering on becoming a dictator, and like, what? Okay. Now we got our restriction. Welcome back. Okay, we'll do the hat and the mustache. Why not? We're still marching towards our next sub goal, guys, which would be we need another 15 subscriptions, either combination, but it's simpler here if you're here. 15 subscriptions between here and or FactsStillMatter.site. If we get there, we'll do another. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll do another giveaway. We'll spin the wheel again next week for some merch. Speaking of merch, if you want to support Brett and Nikki Cross, there's a few ways you can do it. You can either go to FactsStillMatter.site, and the first shirt you'll see in the merch store is "The Sound of Children Screaming Has Been Removed." That shirt is now referred to as the new motto of the United States of America. Thank you. That was the edited video from the day that their son Uzziah was taken from us in Uvalde. And Fox News put out a story, and they literally said across the screen, "The sound of children screaming has been removed." And there's a shirt in our merch store with that quote on it. All proceeds, any sales from that shirt, if anybody wants to make a purchase and support Brett and Nikki, it's a great way to show your support, and you can help donate, because any monies that we raise from the sale of those shirts will go directly to them. So we'll be watching that. You'll find the merch, you'll find their link tree to their Cash App in my link tree, and you'll also find the link to their GoFundMe which is, again, helping. We're trying to help them get the hell out of Uvalde because they need to have a life that is focused on their kids and themselves and their own mental health. So if you've ever seen Brett and you know how passionate he is, you can go pick one up yourself today. Okay, so we were discussing earlier before whatever the hell happened. Who knows? It could have even been me. No, it wasn't me because I didn't touch the button. It was probably the trolls in the chat. The events of the last 24 hours. I think we should talk about the situation with Israel and Iran. So this is the statement from the person who promised no new wars, right? The person who promised to quell things. I'm the peacetime president, blah, blah, fucking blah. Well, this is what he had to say in response to what happened. Okay. All right. Hold on.
I gave Iran a chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told, that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world, by far, in all caps, and that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They're all unalive now, and it will only get worse. There's already been great death and destruction. There has already been great death and destruction? Okay, but there is still time to make this slaughter with the next already planned attacks be even more brutal. Come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more unaliving, no more destruction. Just do it before it's too late. In all caps. Then God bless you all.
There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. So let's tell the people that were just attacked. Iran will retaliate. They have already. We're going to tell you that you're going to get another attack. We're going to remind you that you've got some of the best weapons made by us. Again, that sentence. There's already been great death and destruction. Great death and destruction. Okay. There's already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. What? What? And then no more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it's too late. God bless you all. What? Again, in our quest to find objectivity, one of the reasons that MAGA said they voted for him was because they didn't want any more wars. And their argument was, oh, there was a bunch of peace during the Trump administration. There were no wars, even though people were fighting everywhere, but there were no new wars. Well, what about the civil wars in Africa? Well, that don't count because they're brown people. Okay, what about the constant crisis in Ukraine, back and forth between Russia, all the skirmishes, the Azov brigade being in the Azov Sea, the Ukrainian Navy being attacked by Putin. Well, that don't matter because that's Ukraine. We don't give a shit about them. Okay, now that you've got, he promised you no new wars, but now that you've got, Israel striking Iran, and we've seen an escalation in tensions there, and we know that's continuing to happen, would that not be a war? No, that's not a war. That's just saber rattling. You fucking liberals don't know shit. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Yeah. What about Biden? There was warring all over the place. There was war in Tennessee, and there was war in Australia, and New Zealand penguins are fighting and shit. What about that? I'm serious. Like, that's what it feels like. You're welcome, Airwolf. That's what it seems like, right? In an attempt to justify, I know, Australia, I just made it up. It just popped into my head, right? How then do you explain it? How then do you, how are you going to cover this one? Oh, they had it coming. They deserved it. Okay, but wasn't the promise that there was going to be no new wars? Wasn't he referred to as the peacetime president? Right? Yeah, exactly. Biden was never the sharpest bulb. Remember that sound? Right? Again, objectivity. Now, I know there's a lot of you mags that have come to see me today. Hi, I love you. Kiss, kiss. Need a cuddle? You won't come up and talk about it. You can't be objective. It's just, that's the conversation. You don't, miss me with your I'm a patriot bullshit. Just miss me with that fucking crap. Just miss me with it. You're not a patriot. You don't care about your country. You care about your blanket of hate. You care that brown-skinned people are getting kicked out of the country. You don't give a fuck about your own country, like we say a lot in this space. Us radical leftists, the people who want healthcare, we care more about your kids than you do. We care more about your communities than you do. We care more about your job than you do. Your assistant manager in training job at the Waffle House. We care more about that than you do. We care more about your retirement. We care more about your future. We care more about your prosperity than you do, because you hate brown-skinned people so much that you will tolerate all of it. I don't care if I'm poor, long as them Mexicans get kicked out of here. Like, we do. We care more about your own kids. We care more about your own children than you do. We do. But I won't do it. I just want to remind everybody how savage you looked in your response to tyranny and fascism. So I just want to say that to you. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. Thank you. My husband said that I looked adorable. Thank you,
Agreed.
my love.
Agreed.
But
adorable and savage at the same time. So yes,
he called me the Pride Pippi Longstocking.
That works.
Yeah.
That totally tracks.
And a badge of honor that I'm so grateful for.
Agreed.
I know. It was a lot of fun. And actually, the May Day group delivered a card to Senator Padilla. We walked over to the Senate building and delivered it to say that we were standing in solidarity with him.
I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was a lot of fun. And I'm headed back down there tomorrow as well. So I'm
Fabulous.
volunteering as a medic. Yep, absolutely.
Yes. I know that's your background, so thank you for doing that. You know what it takes. Keep your head in a swivel, please. And would you just check in with me once in a while, just so I know you're okay?
I promise I will.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. What you got for us?
Well, I got a little regularly scheduled mod announcement. Good morning, everyone. Y'all know that I'm here to remind everyone to please support our fabulous hostess with the mostest. He's our facilitative foreman, fearlessly feuding fascist figures. And he's here every day with that fiery feral fist for freedom, bringing you facts over feelings, because facts still matter, and they always will. So if you have the means, let's help Facts meet his gift goal, and let's get a subwave going, y'all. You can show support directly with the pay apps and the link tree of his bio. You can find the Facts HQ and Discord link there as well. You can reach the HQ via FactsStillMatter.site, where you can check out all the new merch, including, as Steve said, the sound of children screaming has been removed t-shirt for our friend Brett Cross. And I would like to invite y'all to please assist in the dollar donation drive. I know that times are tough right now and most people can't can't come out of pocket big. Sometimes even $5 seems like a lot, but I think we can all spare $1. So that's why we're saying dollar donation drive, because every dollar will add up. And even though we had a restart this morning, there's still 570 people in here. If everybody donated $1, that would make a huge dent. And so let's dig in for a little pocket change and help our friend out. So if you can, it means a lot. If you're just looking for that fun-free forum for the Facts family to frolic, then Discord is the place. If the link in the bio doesn't work, try to copy and paste the link in a browser or Google. And if that still doesn't work for you, which it doesn't sometimes, that's okay. Just reach out to a moderator. We'll hook you up. When you join, please open a quick ticket. There's a couple questions. If you need assistance with that process, no worries. You can ask in the unverified lobby and we'll walk you through it. Now, if you haven't already, please click that follow or heart me up at the top of the screen next to Fax's name. You can join the team for the cost of a penny. You can do this every day, and it helps the algorithm to keep us on the FYP. The main thing that we ask of y'all is to interact in the comments as well as tapping your little hearts out. It's always free to tap and share out the live. And if you don't have any friends, just click the copy link. It works the same as a share and no one will be the wiser. After this live stream, when you have a chance, head on over to YouTube and subscribe to Facts Still Matter there as well. You can like videos, rewatch them for any information you missed, and subscriptions on YouTube are free, just like following your favorite creators on TikTok. Lastly, be kind, smile at a stranger, and have a fuck your feelings kind of day.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Don't forget, 50 more subscribers here gets us to the point where we can do another spin the wheel for merch next week. And you can thank Eve's very big and generous brain for helping us with that. My friend, be out there, be safe. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate you very much.
Always. Love ya.
See you later. All right, bye. Okay, so thank you to Fish Trucker, by the way, for his 1776 donation. Thank you, Fish. I appreciate you very much, buddy. Okay, so obviously, the situation of the promises of no new war and in regards to what we're seeing now, the escalations rising, the tensions rising, Israel not only going after allegedly nuclear facilities, potential nuclear facilities in Iran, but it seems like members of their leadership, the Iranian were taken out as well. We'll see more to come on that as we follow the story. So the situation with Alex Padilla, the senator, we know that has been addressed. Obviously, we're going to see there's going to be more to come there. There's other members of Congress that have either been indicted and or arrested. This is the world that we live in now, right? We can no longer speak of this. We need one more stuff for our subwave guys. We can no longer talk in terms of fascism, on its way. It's here. Okay, it's here. I'm cutting in and out still. I think we're back now. How do I want to say this? I think that our goal every single day, we spent the past couple of days, I have this vision of how I want things in our country, right? We broke down healthcare, and why it is that we don't have it is because there's been no courage from members of Congress to fight for it. And we've been expected to settle for little things, and we cheer for it. So we said we broke down our system based on everybody else's. Remember, first in cost, 42nd in outcome here. We pay more than anybody else. Medicare for all would solve so many problems. So many problems. We know that. Yesterday, we went through education. We used Scandinavian countries, Finland in particular, to compare what their education outcomes are like, because they invest in their citizenry, right? Those are the things that I really want us to continue to focus on. But meanwhile, we have to address what we see, right? So this time of year, you'll notice that there's been a lot of reporting because cabinet members have to check in, because we still do have oversight. We still have people who are responsible to provide updates on the money that is allocated to them by Congress. That is our current system, right? So Pete Hegseth has been getting grilled pretty regularly. So this is an exchange he had with Seth Moulton. Seth Moulton is a veteran himself. So these conversations are intense. They don't have to be. I just want you to listen to the way in which, we need 2 more subs actually for this next wave. I want you to listen to the way in which Pete, not only does he not answer the question, but he'll what about Biden? He'll what about Biden every chance he gets. And that's by design. So I, again, would ask people to be objective as to how they're listening to this, right? So this is Seth Moulton, and this has to do with signal gates. Again, we'll talk about it because we're not going to let it disappear to the dustbed of history. This is a fascinating conversation.
Time for F-18s going into combat over enemy territory facing anti-aircraft missiles on an unclassified signal chat. Did that launch time come from Central Command, yes or no?
I know what you're referring to, and there were no.
It's a very simple question. Did it come from? It's a very simple question. Did it come from Central Command?
Well, in this committee, no way in which I communicate or what I communicate on a successful strike is something that I would share.
So you can't even identify the combatant command under which this operation occurred?
Well, everybody knows the
command. Okay, so everyone knows the Central Command. So when Central Command sent you this information, did they send it on a classified system or an unclassified system?
Well, as you know, having served yourself, any way that the Secretary of Defense communicates or provides information in and of itself is classified and not to be discussed.
So what was the classification marking of the launch time when it was sent to you? Because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah, what was the classification marking?
Because again, classifications of any information in an ongoing operation that was successful or...
Just real quick, the information he got from CENTCOM, he eventually admitted that it was classified. So the information that he received, he being Pete Hegseth, was classified. Seth Moulton has served. He's had classification clearances, and he's someone who's been privy to classified documents in the past. So he's fully aware of the process. So he's really trapped Hegseth here. There's no way to pivot around this because, again, the information that Pete Hegseth received was classified. Okay, just wanted to catch up there.
Or not things that would.
Let me pull this back a little bit.
You of the launch time when it was sent to you, because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
Correct.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah. What was the classification marking?
Because again, classifications of any information in an ongoing operation that was successful are not things that would be disclosed in a public forum.
You can very well disclose whether or not it was classified. It's not classified to disclose whether or not it was classified. In fact, DoD regulations state that any classified information has to be labeled with its classification. Was it classified secret or top secret?
What's not classified is that it was an incredibly successful mission against the Houthis.
Okay, so it was classified. So are you trying to say that the information was unclassified?
I'm not trying to say
that's what I thought. You're not saying that. So you took classified information from Central Command that had a classification marking on it, because that's what's required by DoD regulations, and you put it on an unclassified system. So we're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General. And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
As I pointed out at the time...
you said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
As I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Okay, so if it comes back that it is classified, will you take accountability or not?
Oh my God.
You've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get from CENTCOM is classified. You just explained that to me. That's how you justified not answering the question.
Not what I said. I didn't confirm any classification or
okay, so if it is
what
confirmed,
I know is that
will you take
everything
accountability?
I share, everything I talk about,
Mr. Secretary, does accountability apply to you or not?
Is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary.
And you know what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our
I'm just asking if it applies to
very
you.
successfully.
I'm not asking about the
Previous
Houthis.
administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on the battlefield,
asking about
we actually put them in a place
I reclaim my time.
Called for a ceasefire.
Listen to this part again.
DoD Inspector General.
Just listen to this part again. Okay, so so the observation here, objectively speaking, is that he's trapped. He's trapped. He's put himself in the trap. And Seth Moulton, that line of questioning was fucking brilliant. Anytime he pivoted away, Seth Moulton's like, okay, fine. You're not going to sit up here and tell us that it's not classified because you know it comes from CENTCOM. You know it's classified, and then there's nowhere for Pete Hegseth to go because yes, that's known. It's known that it's classified. And then he says, well, what about accountability? Okay, so then you're saying it's not classified. So when we get the Inspector General report and we determine. You're right. He's from Massachusetts. Dude, like whatever, dude. I'm fucking ask you fucking questions. You fucking dude. Like you to go to fucking Southie, dude. Like I saw you at a kegger last week there, Pete. Like whatever. You're Pete and your friend Pete. Because I'm from Massachusetts. I'm gonna grill your ass. I'm gonna put you up against the Green Monster, dude, and make you answer questions, dude. Sorry. He's got him cornered. He's got him trapped. There's no way for him to work around this. Literally, don't forget, when he was confirmed, his big argument was there is going to be accountability. There's going to be accountability in the Department of Defense. All right? So listen to this part's great.
And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
As I pointed out at the time,
you said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
As I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Yes, there was.
Okay, so if it comes back that it is classified, will you take accountability or not? We've already established, you've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get
from CENTCOM is classified.
You just explained that to me.
Exactly.
That's how you justified not answering the question.
Not what I said. I didn't, didn't confirm any classification or
okay, so if it is
what I know is that
will you take
everything I
accountability?
share, everything I talk about,
Mr. Secretary, does accountability apply to you or not?
Is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary.
And you know what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our
I'm just asking if it applies
very
to you.
Successfully.
I'm not asking about the
previous
Houthis.
Administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on the battlefield,
I'm just asking about
we actually put them in a place
I reclaim my time.
Called for a ceasefire.
Again, that is just brilliant line of questioning. He had him trapped at every turn, and you could see it. You could see the look on Kegsbreath's face. You could see it. He knew he was trapped. He's got nowhere to go. Again, the facts of the situation are such. Information comes from CENTCOM, classified. He shared it publicly, invited invited his dog catcher. And there was that, in two separate instances. Don't forget, not just the one with the reporter, right? But he also did it with his hairdresser and his makeup artist and his toe fungus guy and everybody else. He's trapped. He's busted. And he knows it. And then you can tell, you can watch his temper rise. You can watch, thank you, Monica. You could watch his temper go up, getting heated, thinking about, man, oh man, I wish I had a cocktail glass with me right now. Busted. That was brilliant questioning. Brilliant. The conversations continued. So then he had to go up against Ro Khanna. And Ro Khanna doesn't pull punches either. So this is in regard to whether or not he would accept the decision of a judge. Okay? So this is, again, really, really interesting. So this is Ro Khanna, who I really like, a Democrat from California, who I believe has a future in the Democratic Party from a leadership perspective. Again, this is more questioning of Pete Kegsbreath.
Where I hope we can agree. Whatever the federal district court decides, will you abide by it?
Okay, so the federal district court did decide that the administration overreached and the sending in of the National Guard violated the law. An appeals court came over the top and said, okay, we're going to pause this, and then we're going to review the case even more. And I'm going to pause there real quick because this was the statement from the president. Marcy, thank you for your $5 in Cash App. What does that say? You love looking at me every day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. All right. This was the statement. I'm blushing. Shocker.
The appeals court ruled last night that I can use the National Guard to keep our cities, in this case Los Angeles, safe. If I didn't send the military into LA, that city would be burning to the ground right now. We saved LA. Thank you for the decision.
It's not what happened. Those are not the facts of the case. Those are not the facts of the case. The appeals court just said, we're going to pause this to review and we'll get back to you. More lies. So this is Ro Khanna asking that question to Pete Kegsbreath to say, okay, if the judge comes down with a decision to say, you can't send in the Guard, your response is going to be what?
Well, this is a pending situation.
So will you agree, though, that it's not my legal view, it's not your legal view that makes the decision in America. It's the federal judiciary. If the federal court in California and the San Francisco district judge has orders a preliminary injunction, will you agree to abide by the federal courts?
What I will tell you is my job right now is to ensure the troops that we have in Los Angeles are capable of supporting law enforcement in
Sir, I agree with that, but will you?
And we know
can
we
you
have the
just assure?
constitutional and statutory authority.
That's fine, but can you just assure?
No, you do not have constitutional and statutory authority because that's what the judge ruled. So no, you just saying it. Like I could say I'm 6'1", 185 with 2% body fat. That ain't the fucking truth just because I say it. I am 6'2", but not 185 and definitely not 2% body fat. Anywho, just because you say it in a congressional hearing doesn't mean it's the truth. Oh, and by the way, you do take an oath, you traitorous fuck. You Christian nationalist fuck, Pete Hegseth, who's overseeing the Department of Defense. Hey, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Mr. Trump, Pete, Facts, Steve. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to noon Eastern time. Fuck you and your Nazis. Okay? Have a day. Back to the tape.
First, that you'll abide by the decisions of the courts.
We've always looked at the decisions of
the vice president has said that he doesn't believe that the courts should be respected in military matters.
This is not my lane, but we also recognize that the way in which the judiciary has expanded its powers.
But can you just give a simple? Okay, let me ask you this: two simple questions. You got 30 seconds. I'm not trying to trick you. I think it would assure the American people because it shouldn't be Ro Khanna's view of the Constitution. It shouldn't be Secretary Hegseth's. It should be the Supreme Court and the federal courts. Can you assure the American people on two things? You will respect any Supreme Court decision on this matter about whether the Marines are constitutional, and you will respect the district courts when they rule before the Supreme Court rules.
What I can say is we should not have local judges determining foreign policy or national security policy for the country.
So you're not willing to say you would respect those decisions?
What I'm saying is local district judges shouldn't make foreign policy for the United States.
Gentleman's time's expired.
Okay. So what do we learn from Mr. Kegsbreath being questioned brilliantly by Seth Moulton and Ro Khanna? We've learned that he's a simp, cult member coward, posing as someone who is competent to lead the Department of Defense. This argument about the diminishing of the judiciary is part of the unitary executive theory that our traitorous friend, whoever the fuck that was that got our live taken down earlier, believes. You know how we talk about how we don't want these things to be normalized? I think it's really, really, exactly. He did order the code red. Exactly. Good call. Hearts in the chat for Lisa for saying for that. He ordered the code red. Thank you for saying that, Lisa. You're absolutely right. In our system currently, we do still have a system. It is not under the purview of our constitutional law, our constitutional system of law and order, that the executive has impunity when it comes to just telling people things. You do not have the ability to ignore a judge's ruling. You can try, but then you need to be held in contempt. Oh, that's right. In the big, bold, beautiful pile of shit bill, they wanted to include language so that judges couldn't hold federal officials in contempt. Interesting. She said, I wonder why they would do that. Because they're Nazis. That's why. So he's sitting there being questioned by Seth Moulton brilliantly, admitting that the information that he got from CENTCOM was classified. He knows it. They know it. You know it because you're the smartest chat on TikTok. Hearts in the chat for yourselves because you are the smartest chat on TikTok. Basically pivoting away from the question, which was, will you hold yourself accountable if what we know to be true is then confirmed by the Inspector General at the DOD that you shared classified information? Will you hold yourself accountable? Well, the Houthis certainly were held accountable because what about Biden? And then when asked a simple question, if a federal judge rules, the federal judiciary, if a federal judiciary rules that what you did in regards to the National Guard deployment was outside of scope, unconstitutional, would you abide by that? And he refused to answer the question, which tracks because our mouth-breathing, smooth-brained potato who was here earlier before the live got taken down said, well, insurrection in LA because they're throwing cinder blocks through the windows of a Waymo. But January 6th? Nah, that wasn't. Even though that is the actual seat of our government, even though his traitorous comrades wiped their shit on the walls of the Capitol, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's so fucked up. It is so fucked up how delusional they are. But we're going to continue to talk about it. We absolutely are. Good morning, Olive.
Good morning. Did you get the message I put in the mod chat by chance? Hang on. I can't hear. It might be. Oh, no, we're good. Never mind.
I got you.
Okay. Am I cool? I just want to make sure I didn't want to overstep.
No, go for it. Go for it. I'm sorry. I didn't. You cut out at the beginning. I didn't hear what you said.
No,
initially, but go for it.
No, you're good too. So, friends and Facts Still Matters family, we are currently doing a fundraiser for our good friend Brett. We're working together to make sure that he's able to get out safely and smoothly together to make sure they can all heal together, because we all know what happened to Brett and Nikki. If you guys have been on this app for a long time, if you haven't, Brett and Nikki lost their 10-year-old son, Uzziah Garcia, at Uvalde. And we have been working since this actually beginning of this week to fundraise money for him. So if you guys have at least like $1 or something, you guys are more than welcome to go ahead and donate it to Brett Cross. He has there are pay links you can do. You can also do the GoFundMe if it's a little bit easier for you. I have that in my Linktree top link. All his pay links are Cross 0524. If you want to donate. But we've been working together to get Brett out of Uvalde. And as always, when you get their support, and Steve, you guys should continue to boop the screen and share the live out and enjoy the conversations that Steve puts down, because it's better than any morning show I remember growing up listening to. So.
Well, thank you, friend. And just to piggyback on what Olive said, same thing. The link to Brett's GoFundMe is in the link tree in my bio. Also, his Cash App information is there. Also, in the merch store, the first link you'll see when you go to the link tree is the link to the Facts HQ, which will take you to the merch store. And the first item you'll see in the merch store is the T-shirt. The sound of children screaming has been removed. Any and all proceeds from any sales of those shirts, we'll say between now and next Friday, as we're working through this fundraising campaign, any proceeds from the sales of those shirts will go directly to Brett and Nikki. We did this before when we launched it last year, when Brett and Nikki got harassed and basically brutalized by the Uvalde Police Department. That's when this whole thing started. So, and we ended up sending them like $800 because of your kindness and your generosity and your donations, guys. So if you want to support them and also make a powerful statement with the sound of children screaming has been removed, the new motto of the United States of America, then that's another way to contribute as well. So thank you in advance. And thank you, Alla, for helping
I
us.
appreciate Steve, as always. I love you. You can drop me down as I continue to listen to you.
You got it. See you later. Bye. Okay. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that because we know that our friends on the right do not have any capacity at all. So like not down with sickness, for example. It really is with the Dems protests and deportations, but it didn't bother them under Biden and Obama. Deportations is not the issue, my guy. Illegal immigration needs to be addressed. But you know the difference is those individuals got due process. Yeah, that's the thing. Why don't you request and we can talk about it? And I can embarrass you as well because you can't be objective either. It's a simple question. You are presented with the information. You've got a person who is here either illegally or not. All we are asking is that everybody gets due process. And the funny thing about that is that's really not a stretch. It's not radical. Do you know why it's not radical? Because it's in the Constitution. Fifth Amendment addresses it. All persons, no person can be denied life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Person. The thing about the Constitution, too, is it very clearly, there's distinctions between what is a citizen and what is a person. And it's written that way. You may not like it because you don't like brown people. I get that. I totally get that, right? I understand that you don't like brown people. You know what would be easier if you guys just said, you know what? I hate brown people. Can't stand them. I hate brown people. So I don't give a fuck if they're being thrown on trucks and skipped across the border. I don't care. Just say that because we know that's what it is, right? We know that's exactly what it is. So just say it. Man the fuck up. I was going to say to you, now down with the sickness and all of y'all, I was going to say, grow some, you should get a set of balls. But I would say, you should get a vagina because vaginas are a hell of a lot fucking tougher than your nutsack, pal. Seriously. All we're asking for is to be objective. That's it. Objective, follow the Constitution. Give people the rights under the law. We gave the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster felon due process. He got due process. Why shouldn't everybody else? And then the question, well, how do you know? Right? That's what we're asking for. All we want is a determination because otherwise what you are doing is racially profiling people. People that are driving down the street or shopping at their Home Depot or their 7-Eleven or coming out from their immigration hearing, following the law, doing things the right way, as you like to say, and you're just rounding them up. Exactly, Silver. J6ers got due process. That's it. Go to court. If the evidence and the information they have regarding Kilmar Abrego Garcia is true, then hold them accountable in the judicial system. Throw them in jail. Deport them. I don't care. That's the point. We're not defending criminality. We are defending the Constitution. We are saying everybody has rights. So you're going to ask the question, like, do you believe a child predator in a P3DO deserves due process under the law? Yes, I do. I do, because that's the system. That's the system. I don't give a shit if you don't like it, but that's just the way that it works. Just because you guys live in this fantasy land, you're circle jerk around dictatorships, which is fucking weird. Talk about a kink. That's crazy. That's nuts that you patriots and you want to be dragged around by your fucking cock ring. Sorry. Get that image out of your head. You don't give a fuck about freedom. You don't give a shit about any of it. You don't care because you think as long as brown people are being diminished, as long as brown people are being kicked out of the country, as long as trans people are diminished in our society and erased in many cases, as long as that happens, you don't give a fuck about the rest because you don't think they're going to be coming for you. You're cowards. History will look back on MAGA men in particular as the weakest, most pathetic, treasonous, ignorant. I don't know how else to describe it. History will remember you that way. History will remember you that way. You have a chance. There's a chance for redemption. There's a chance. You could be the one that steps up and say, you know, I can't walk around claiming to support the Constitution if I'm not willing to actually support it. You don't know your history of the Constitution. You people think, this is really funny. There are still so many of you out there that believe that the Second Amendment was written to give citizens the right to respond to a tyrannical government. First of all, that's not even close to the truth, but think of it this way. If that were the case, then why would the same founding fathers who created the Second Amendment based on a compromise to appease to slave owners, why would they write language in the Constitution that says insurrection and or treason, meaning that you cannot rise up against the government? So why would they tell you you can't rise up against the government, but then give you the tools to do it? Logical consistency. It's not a lot to ask. Now, is it? No, it's not. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Let's see if we can get to 200K before Rusty finishes. And then 662 people in here, as he mentioned earlier. If everybody's got $1, then you can donate to Brett's cause. You can find the GoFundMe link. You can find his Cash App. If we all just $1 donation, I know it's tough for everybody. It's tough for all of us right now. But if we can spare $1, we can help a family that has been through, I think we can all agree, has been through more than any family should ever have to go through. And if we can help them get the hell out of Uvalde, then let's do it. Good morning, friend. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, brother. So first thing in the morning, and I have to envision your fiery fist of freedom and being drug around by the cock ring. Thank you very much. It's a great way to wake up.
Hey, listen, I'm not kink shaming. Whatever floats your boat. But
hey, you know, I'm just saying, you know, I hadn't even cracked open my bloodshot eyes yet, and you know, here we go, off to the races.
It is Friday. It is Antifa Friday.
It is Antifa Friday.
Hey now,
you said something just a second ago, and I want to put out a challenge to any MAGA listening. Your grandpappy had the cojones to acknowledge publicly they hated brown people. When they'd stand off and, protest and throw rocks at students trying to go to school, you know, that tough, mean group of children trying to go to school that just happened to be black, they openly acknowledged how much they hated brown people.
Correct.
Now the fuckers in the pointy hats, none of them have had, cojones. We'll just say, make that obvious. But then you got the various and sundry other maybe non-aligned groups that are out there screaming about how much they hate brown people and how they're ungodly and blah, 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 blah. If they had the guts to do it, you should. And I've been challenging these chowderheads in lives. I had one guy I finally got to acknowledge after just beating him down. Yes, I don't like brown people. Thank you. Now we can have an honest conversation. Let's start with you're a bigot. So exactly. That's on the table now. Instead of you twisting your spine in impossible directions to bend over in such a way to say, I'm not a bigot, but I'm not a racist, but just stand on your soapbox, pump your little fist in the air, and acknowledge, I just don't like brown people.
Yep. Or trans people or gay people. Yep.
Yeah, that's an honest position to take. It's a place to start the discussion.
Deconstruction.
Versus you just coming up with these amazing webs of logic that just don't logic, justify the fact you don't like brown people.
Yep.
And you want the government to take action and create policy that endorses your bigotry.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And you cheer it on. And you cheer on U.S. citizens' constitutional rights being violated because you feel like it's just collateral damage.
Yeah, exactly. And I certainly, I know you've had the exact same argument I have, but when I'm in there and we bring up the 4-year-old, cancer patient, that's being deported, when we bring up children being pulled out of foster care, children being pulled out of school, and it's, well, there's going to be collateral damage, but there shouldn't be. This isn't war. This isn't carpet bombing. This is the legal system should have surgical precision, and if it doesn't, there's something wrong with that system.
That's correct.
You don't just round up the usual suspects for any crime. You just don't do that, but they're okay with it as long as they're brown people.
Correct.
Who talk funny.
Correct.
So.
I live. The reason we say that it's all about brown people for you closeted bigots is because I live 35 miles. As here's a New England expression for you, as the crow flies from the northern border. By the way, the border between Canada and the United States is the longest international border in the world. Okay, you never complain about that. You don't want to talk about that at all. Oh yeah, the F drug. No, you guys you're just racists. You're racists and you're bigots and you're transphobes and you're homophobes and you're traitors and you're insurrectionists and you're cowards and you're pathetic. And history will remember you that way. So that when your children, hopefully you won't reproduce, but if you do, and your children have children and they're walking through your attic and they're stepping over your lame ass because you didn't protect your comic books. Now they're all covered with mold because you're stupid. They're going to open a box next to your Ronco frickin' oven, and they're going to see your red hat. They're going to see your red hat, and they're going to bring it downstairs, and they're going to ask you guys about it. And what are you going to do then? Set it and forget it. Exactly. What are you going to say?
Ronco back into it.
There you go. Hey, I have Ronco on the mind. What are you going to say to them? What are you going to say? What are you going to tell them? Are you going to tell them the truth? Are you going to tell them the truth? Or are you going to do what you do now and say, well, he was a man of the people and he got railroaded. It was a weaponized government against him. You don't understand, little Sally. You have no idea how bad things were. Them radical leftists, all them brown-skinned people. Oh, I mean, all them illegals coming in, all them the transgender people, all them coming in. You have no idea. I was out on the front lines of freedom. Well, Poppy, why do people compare red hat wearers to people in brown shirts from Yahtzee Germany in the 30s? Oh, that's just fake news. And scene. Seriously, you're going to have that conversation. You're going to have those conversations. Yeah.
It's. I've imagined, when going back to the 70s and 80s, when kids would find Grandpappy's attic and his evil shenanigans memorabilia
Playboys
from the 30s, the 40s.
Yeah, or it was Playboys from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, well, that's another story, and that's something you don't necessarily share that you found. But
I have no idea what you're talking about. None.
No,
whatsoever.
not a bit.
Nope.
But asking those questions, then, unfortunately, I knew my grandparents were pretty bigoted, but there wasn't any memorabilia of them, burning down churches or anything like that. But when I would ask those questions, they maintained their bigotry. Now, granted, we're looking at the 70s, we're looking at the 80s, and yeah,
hang on one second. On Clips, we're not comparing Playboys to MAGA hats. We're just telling people, if you really, never mind. I'm not even addressing it. I should address the comments.
It's called a little humor.
Seriously.
Not everything is serious. Take a breath. I opened this conversation talking about cock rings and his fiery fist of freedom. And so if you can't, if you're standing there thinking his fist is on fire,
hey now.
and then you're
Okay, Eclipse. I wasn't sure. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. We weren't sure. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue, please. Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, again, and I want to make this for those of you in the back. History is going to remember, which is why we're going to talk about it, because people in your party, people in your world, in your cult, are doing everything they can to erase history. I caught the tail end of a story last night where there was someone, I want to say it was in Florida. I can't remember where it was. They checked out 100 books from their local library that had themes connected to, LGBTQIA rights, Black history, and the reporting is such that they checked out those books and then burned them. Okay? So they want to do everything they can to whitewash history. We're not going to let them. We are not going to let them. So when I get exiled to hopefully Jamaica, when I get exiled there, and I've got the grizzly ass beard and I'm living on coconut water and guava, what a great way to live. I'll remember. I said that for you, buddy, because I know you're heading there soon.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Yeah, it continually boggles my mind. I don't necessarily have the faith that you do, because when we think about, especially Southerners, who have a familial history going back to the Confederacy, going back to slave ownership, and they still twist the narrative. It's about states' rights. It's about heritage, not hate. It's blah, blah, blah. They just are not admitting Grandpappy was an evil, evil shithead. So many people will never admit that somewhere down their lineage, somebody was an awful troll. And, they can't be, because that was my family. How many times have I seen, some cracker saying something to the effect of, it's good enough for my daddy, it's good enough for me. Well, no, Zippy, that's not how it goes. If it was good enough for your daddy, you might look up and go, yeah, that sucked. I want better.
Me too.
But yeah,
it's all we want. We just want better. We want the next generation to be better than us. Buddy, thank you. Fill me in later on your doctor's appointment. We can talk about it. Okay, I appreciate you, pal.
Absolutely. I now have diagnoses, and I'm starting the process to get eye surgery. So
fun. Let's talk later.
Yeah,
love you, buddy. See you later.
Absolutely, brother. Bye.
Right. Bye. All right. So I want to. Yes. So. Yes, as we discussed before, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. In this case, there's going to be a lot of splaining to do. If you ever watched I Love Lucy, I want to address a couple of things that have been statements recently from Pam Bondi and Christy Noem specifically, as it relates to their descriptions of the people involved in these protests. And again, based on the conversation we had with our first guest today, the situation was handled. The arrests before ICE arrived was for disbursement. Failure to disperse. A civil punishment, a misdemeanor, if that. Pay the fine. That's it. ICE arrives on the scene, masked up, instigating. We reported on yesterday that there are rumors that there will be infiltration into the No Kings rallies across the country. We'll talk about that in a minute. By the way, the link to nokings.org is in the link tree in my bio if you want more information about how there's going to be agitators, like in every other event, in an attempt to justify what they want to do. So they can use their jackbooted thugs, their conscripts, their paid agitators, whether it be the 3%ers, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, etc., to stir up shit intentionally, so that they can use what they use. The reason that a National Guard pending decision is so important is because, as we hope, the federal judiciary will say, no, Mr. President, you can't overstep the Constitution again. You cannot bring in National Guard troops without the consent of governors, specifically. That's important because as we see these protests pick up speed, remember 3.5%, that's a target. Consistent 3.5% of activism of the population is really how you get change, right? That's why that decision is so important as to how they proceed. I think they said within the next couple of days they'll ultimately make that decision. It's not going to cover the rallies tomorrow, wherever you are, but were you able to get that protest? Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if we did. Friends did. I will ask them on team. The question was asked. We had Dr. Jace on, who was a field medic. Basically, he's been on the streets of LA and gave us a really, really good advice as to some of the things to look out for. And I'd asked if we get Dr. Jace into the Discord, and I don't know if we ever got that done, but it's a good call. He was talking about some of the things that you could do at a protest. Like one, I didn't even think about. If somebody throws a smoke bomb in your direction and you're near a traffic cone, you just put the cone over the top of it and cap it, and then it puts it out. Or, what to have in your go bag, so to speak. It's a really good question. We'll effort to try and get an answer to that. Anyway, I want to remind people of what the administration is saying about these agitators. Okay, or I should say the people that are protesting. So this is Pam Bondi first. She's a mess. And we know that. So this is what Pam Bondi is saying, especially when asked in regard to the comparison to J6. Okay. The reason that the right doesn't want to talk about J6 is because they can't defend it, especially with their bullshit they're saying now. So this is Pam Bondi when asked this question.
The administration has talked a lot about defending law enforcement over the last week or so that these protests are going on, but you've been criticized for having a double standard with the president pardoning all these people who attacked police officers on January 6th in his first day in office. How do you answer that criticism?
Well, this is very different. These are people out there hurting people in California right now. This is ongoing, no longer. We're going to protect them. We're going to do everything we can to prosecute violent criminals in California. California is burning. These people are waving Mexican flags, yet they don't want anyone to go back to Mexico. They're burning American flags. This is the United States of America, and we're going to protect Americans. We're going to protect all citizens out there.
Constitutionally protected right, by the way, to burn the American flag. I don't care if you agree or disagree. Don't really care. It's just it's just a cloth. It's a constitutionally protected right. You can do it. You may not like it. That's fine. I don't care. Again, you may not like it. I may not like the fact that I can't speed because I tend to like to go fast, but it's still the law. And then again, just listen to this.
The administration has talked a lot about defending law enforcement over the last week or so that these protests are going on, but you've been criticized for having a double standard with the president pardoning all these people who attacked police officers on January 6th in his first day in office. How do you answer that criticism?
Well, this is very different. These are people out there hurting people in California right now. This is ongoing, no longer. We're going to protect them. We're going to do everything we can to prosecute violent criminals in California.
Violent criminals.
California is burning. These people are waving Mexican flags, yet they don't want anyone to go back to Mexico. They're burning American flags. This is the United States of America, and we're going to protect Americans. We're going to protect all citizens out there.
So is Pam Bondi a racist in all caps or just like lowercase letters? It's hard to say. So then that's her point. So again, criminals. Then let's listen to Kristi Noem. Okay, Kristi Noem, who has been lying. What does my shirt say? My shirt says hashtag I am radical. I am radical because I want universal health care. I'm radical because I believe that we should be overfunding public education. I'm radical because I believe women should have rights to their body. I'm radical because you might want to sit down for this one. I'm radical because I think kids should be able to eat. I'm radical because I believe that every human being on earth should have access to housing, water, food, and healthcare. I am so fucking radical. Wow. But am I Zen? I am fucking Zen. Maybe not as much as normal, but yes. So I'm so radical. So this is Kristi Noem on the same topic, right? Again, they're trying to put their voters, remind them, the worm brain, to say these are criminals. We're not arresting. We're not arresting citizens. We're not violating people's rights. We're only going after criminals. So this is what Kristi Noem has to say on that same topic. Okay, this one's really rough for people in LA. Buckle up.
train wreck of a mayor now that is endorsing these kind of activities, has allowed her city to be completely devastated with crime. And now she's holding press conferences talking about the fact that people have the right to peacefully protest and that they're a city of immigrants. Well, they're not a city of immigrants. They're a city of criminals because she has protected them for so many years. And so we're coming in and doing what the president has said that he's going to do, and he's going to allow people to live in a safe community again. And we're going to use the authority that he has as president of the United States to conduct these operations. And the more that people conduct violence against law enforcement officers, boy, we're going to hit them back, and we're going to hit them back harder than we ever have before.
Oh, well, okay. So I was curious, I think we've discussed this before, about how the right likes to use this argument to justify their hatred. Let's call it what it is, to justify their racism and their bigotry towards brown people. So they want to say that it's criminals. So what do we do, friends? When we're going to break a tie, we go to the data. So according to crime statistics involving undocumented immigrants versus native-born U.S. citizens, crime rates, undocumented versus U.S.-born citizens, arrest and conviction rates. Undocumented immigrants are arrested for violent and drug crimes at less than half. I'll say that again. Less than half the rate of native-born citizens. And for property crimes, they only commit them at a quarter of the rate that U.S. natural-born citizens do. Census data spanning 150 years show consistently lower incarceration rates among foreign-born individuals, with a gap widening since 1960. Broader data finds, including meta-analysis covering 1994 to 2014, found no evidence that immigration increases crime. 1994 to 2024. No evidence that immigration increases crime. If anything, it is associated with slightly lower crime rates. Local analysis show that regions with higher undocumented populations often have equal or lower crime rates, and sanctuary policies are linked to no increases in crime. In fact, modest declines. Interesting. You are safer in a community of undocumented immigrants than you are with U.S.-born and or naturalized citizens. Period. Expert consensus regarding immigrants, including undocumented, commit fewer and or no more crimes than native-born Americans. Claims that undocumented immigration is linked to rising crime is just not supported by 25 years of studies. Criminologist studies show young undocumented men, a demographic often seen as risk-prone, have dramatically lower homicide and or incarceration rates than native-born peers. It's all men until it's no man. It's all white people until it's no white people. Okay? Native-born Americans commit 50% less violent crimes. Undocumented immigrants commit 50% less violent crimes than American citizens. A wealth of credible studies from the Census Bureau, Stanford, Cato, DOJ, the American Immigration Council show that undocumented immigrants commit fewer crimes than U.S. citizens, especially in regards to violent and property crimes. These findings are consistent across national, state, and city level analysis. So if that were the case, then is it really about going after the criminal element? Because if it was, we could be driving down Main Street, USA. Go to the states that have the highest level of crime. Yeah, we do look at the FBI, TJ. We do. We do, TJ. That's what data is. TJ, data is not the information you get from your Bazooka Joe cartoon. Data comes from credible sources. Data comes from people that have been studying it for years. Okay? That's what data tells you. Now, you can believe whatever you want. You can tell yourself whatever you want. But if you have a quest to find the truth, don't believe me. Don't believe anybody in the chat. Look it up for yourself. That's what I did. I went and found the data. But here's the problem. If you are told by your fearless cult leader that you can't trust anything other than him, then of course you're not going to believe the truth. So what do? Do you just spin in space waiting for the next bit of information to be burrowed into your brain? How do you navigate life? Like if you're asking Siri. So by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but Siri is a radical leftist. So when you're in your GPS in the car and you ask Siri for directions to the Waffle House, are you going to believe Siri? Because Siri's a radical leftist. You can believe her, but you're not going to believe information from reputable sources. You know, primary source, TJ, a primary source. Okay. Bring up Neil, and I've got some more data I want to share with you guys specifically as it relates to this perceived drain on society. Again, another lie. Good morning, Neil. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
How you feeling? They don't really care about anything that relates to facts, just their mentality. And I've met these people. The cognitive dissonance is terminal. I mean, they cannot let anything breach. When it comes to, the No King rallies, like you're saying, I'm worried about, people that are going to be throwing things and attacking police and then blaming people who are peaceful. And then Trump could say, hey, we need the Insurrection Act or martial law. That's what's scaring me. I don't know, because I remember when the Black Lives Matter, they pulled out a sheet and it was white nationalists and Nazis that were throwing rocks at the police. And that really makes me pause, because we, as a nation, most people are decent. I've been to protests. I've respected police. I've never done anything wrong. I just want to express myself. And that's the way most Americans are.
Exactly. I mean, the overwhelming, again, this is where the disingenuous nature of legacy media, overwhelming majority of protests in our nation's history, like not even close, like overwhelming, 95+% are protests. Where it turns is usually when there's law enforcement involved, quite frankly, because tensions rise. Look at protests. We know from the George Floyd protests from 2020, 95% were considered peaceful, and we also know that agitators were there, the Boogaloo Boys. I'm advocating for expressing your constitutionally protected rights, which are peacefully protesting. The problem is when you have people, the smooth-brained, mouth-breathing potatoes who believe that a peaceful protest is a violation of your rights, and it's supported by the police or their administration, and say, if you protest, I'm going to lock your ass up. I've got sound I'll play from the president. He said just that. If you come to D.C. tomorrow and you protest, you're going to meet bigly resistance. It's crazy.
It really is, because it's like January 6th to them was a walk in the park. They were pardoned, and they were good, decent, there were good people on both sides, but their mentality is that anyone with January 6th was patriots, and anyone who dares say anything against their leader is un-American and a traitor. And it really is disturbing. I talk to people. Most people are level-headed, but you'll get people that just, like you said, the cognitive dissonance. They're so enraged with the worship of Trump that they don't see that the Constitution and the rule of law is everything for our nation. And thank you for calling me up, by the way. And I basically, I'm just beside myself, because I'm a gentleman. I, like you, I believe in protest. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or independent. As long as you follow certain protocols and you don't try to hurt anyone, because the media, that's the thing. I never trust the media. The media is owned by the same people that want fascism in this country. They really,
by and large, yeah.
They will show only the clips of people who are the agitators, not the vast majority of people. They're just shouting slogans and having signs. They're not engaging the police. They're being good citizens. And like you said before, when Trump is saying, like, if you even protest, we're going to use tanks against you, or we're going to go after you. And seeing tanks in the streets in America it turns your blood cold. It really does. And that's what I'm worried about. I'm really afraid that we're going to have some violence that's never been seen in our nation against innocent people.
Well, that, again, I understand that. That is part of the tactic, right? That is part of the tactic. And as a privileged white man in America with a gray beard, I can go anywhere and feel safe. There's a lot of people that can't. So this is where I say it's about time for white people to step the fuck up, especially white men. Because other groups have been carrying the water for us for a very fucking long time, protecting our privilege. It's about time we showed the fuck up for them. So I really hope people, if anybody can get anything from the conversation we have here every single day, it's that stop sitting on your privilege, right? Stop sitting on it. Stop sitting on your privilege and start using your privilege for good, for a change. Accept that you have it, first of all. Accept that you have it, first of all, and then use it for something good. Neil, thanks for being here today, friend. I appreciate you, bud. Talk to you later. All right, this is the sound I wanted to play for you guys. I'll get back to the data in just a second. So, again, as we're talking about these rallies, a lot of these things are just bluster. But this is what the President of the United States is saying about people who would be expressing their constitutionally protected rights.
Celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protest that wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force. Thank you very much, everybody.
Again.
Celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protest that wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force. Thank you very much, everybody.
If you protest, if you come out and you protest, you will be met with very heavy force. The claim that these people hate our country. Actually, you hate our country, you fascist fuck. You're the one who hates our country. You're the one that wants to use your voters, you fascist fuck, to enrich yourself, you fascist fuck. We're the ones that actually care about our country. We're the ones that actually care about protecting the freedoms granted to us all by the Constitution. We're the ones that are out there expressing our constitutionally protected rights because we care about it. You don't care, you fascist fuck. You don't give a shit. You care about enriching yourself. That's it. That's it. We're the ones that care. I know, we're not going to hold back. Oh, and as a reminder, that body of water south of Louisiana, the Gulf of Mexico. It's cool, right? The Gulf of Mexico. Ever been to the Gulf of Mexico, friends? I love the Gulf of Mexico. Warm water, good fishing in the Gulf of Mexico, great beaches along the Gulf of Mexico coastline. Psh, love the Gulf of Mexico, you fascist fuck. All right, so I'm going to get back to this. Another claim that gets on. Who's in the chat? Oh, it's Tootle and Obi. I'll bring up Tootle first, then I'll get to Obi. You been to the Gulf of Mexico? Gulf of Mexico is great, isn't it? Don't you guys love the Gulf of Mexico? Hey, Tootle, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Dobre Utra. Welcome
Good to see you as well.
I've not been to the Gulf of Mexico.
You should go to the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico is beautiful.
I mean, I guess I know it's not true. I've sailed through it on a cruise on the way to Puerto Rico. So
there you go. The Gulf of Mexico. It's a wonderful body of water.
It felt very Gulf of Mexico-y, not
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
I know I always introduce myself with the Russian greeting, so I thought I'd just do a quick switch to international news. Is that Russia is the rumors are they're going to start landing little green men in the Baltics to
heard about that.
That's Article 5. So we'll see if that happens. Yay! But really, I want to request up because it is Antifa Friday.
It is indeed.
And I saw, and I shared it in the Discord for anybody who's in there, a post that I saw on 5051 a couple days ago. And it was, I guess a user had shared their own personal Facebook account, and it said that basically the other side are seeing the the 5051 it's an Antifa attack, and they're calling out to say this is internationally funded, and they're going to reveal themselves to destabilize the entire country. So,
would anybody be surprised by that? Of course not.
Yeah.
I know there's reporting too that a lot of red states, their governors who are all part of the fascist conservative cult, they're already planning on deploying their National Guard in a lot of the state capitals in anticipation of tomorrow. Let them do it. Let them just show. They're friends. They're cowards. This is what bullies do. Best way to address a bully is to stand up to a fucking bully. They're fucking cowards. They're all cowards. They're gonna saber rattle. They're gonna tell you that you weak soy boys, betas. You're cowards. You'll run at the first chance you get. You'll run and hide in your footy pajamas, under your Super Friends sheets, because you're pathetic fucking cowards. All of you. All of you. You're not brave. You don't want to stand for. What do you stand for? You stand for shit. You don't stand for anything. Fucking cowards. Sorry, Toodle. Go ahead.
Totally weak sauce. No, you're right to go off on them. And I've seen a couple people post this. What should we do if we're at these protests and we encounter agitators? Not necessarily people coming in to attack protesters, but infiltrators coming in. And I heard a really good method to do that would be if you see someone doing something they're not supposed to and you think they're an agitator, like trying to throw a brick at the president or something, is everybody sit down, drop your signs.
Absolutely.
And you'll see who the instigators are, so that the cops can grab them, and they'll see that.
It's funny. I was just reading about that actually. Yeah, it's hard to coordinate because everybody's got to be paying attention to it. It's like the ultimate flash mob. It's the anti-fascist, the Antifa flash mob. Mm-hmm. That's a good tactic. The idea is that if you see something that's thrown and you're not part of it, just sit down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I did see
I love it.
In the LA riots, or excuse me, protests, in some of the shops that were being attacked, there were protesters that were actually holding off looters from coming in to break.
Yeah, and I want to call this out. I don't think we should refer to them as LA riots. That's the messaging from the right. That's what they want people to think. They're not. No. It's not. It's not. They're not riots. It was escalated by law enforcement showing up and ICE agents showing up. It was peaceful. People were cited for refusing to disperse. That's not a riot.
Right.
Let's be careful.
Riot, air quotes. You couldn't see them. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, I know what you meant, but I think we have to be careful. We don't want to perpetuate that as well. We don't want to perpetuate it.
It's so hard. They throw it out in the zeitgeist, and we just pick it up, and that's.
I know.
Those bastards.
That's why we're here, buddy. That's exactly why we're here. To address that bullshit.
Hello there, Mr. Obi has appeared.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hello there. Hello there.
Hello there. First of all, you need to stop saying data like that. First you're talking about a fiery fist, a cock ring, and now data. I'm trying to walk my fucking dog, bro. I do need some sexual healing.
You throw some history up, that'll really get him going.
No, it's just the math. I don't want to rock his world. Yeah, sorry.
Stop saying certain words.
Okay, gotcha.
Without a trigger warning. God.
Sorry, I know. Sorry.
Man.
We do a little trolling. It's called we do a little trolling.
Yeah, sorry. Gotcha. All right, I'm back. Focused.
Okay.
Oh, look at you. See, listen. Our wife is in the chat. You said you need a little sexual healing, and she responds, "Really?"
I've been chasing that for 21 years, like she doesn't know.
Hey now.
I think when a husband stops chasing it, that's when there's a problem. And if you're not chasing it, you're a shitty husband. That's plain and simple. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yes, he has.
Out there, right? Some things are important.
What's on your mind today there, sir?
Okay, a couple things. Every single veteran and active duty service member is Antifa.
Damn straight.
So, number one. Number two, I don't have to say the pledge. I don't have to stand for the national anthem. And I can burn a flag. Not only can I burn a flag, it's protected. I get that no one's paying attention to the courts anymore, but it's a protected right. And per the U.S. flag code, when a flag is retired, they're retired by burning them.
Correct.
So I don't get it. And also, if the Mexican flag is offensive, I want Congress to pass a law that outlaws all San Gennaro festivals and all St. Patrick's Day festivals.
Sure. Sounds good.
And for New York City, we would have to be fair and also include Dominican parades and Puerto Rican parades.
And think of it this way, Odie. Think of it this way. Think of it this way. How pathetically weak, scared, and soft do you have to be that you're intimidated by a flag?
Well, that's the whole thing, right?
Seriously.
Have you ever seen when a foreign dignitary comes to the White House?
Yeah. Fly the flags.
Now,
that's what you do.
Right. Do MAGA get into their fifis when a picture pans to show another country's flag? I don't quite understand the flag part. What is it that hurts you? What is it that upsets you? Also, I just completed a 3.5-mile walk here in Los Angeles County, and I didn't see a single fire. So
interesting.
I have not been invaded.
Good to know.
Anyone, although I'm hoping our wife invades me later. Hey now.
Hey.
I'm just mini.
Take one for the team. Take one for the team, buddy.
As an Angelino, isn't it that the Mexican flag is a symbol of Mexicans living in LA who are celebrating their Mexican heritage? Is what I understand.
Yeah, of course. And why is it that all the pasty white MAGA people like to celebrate Cinco de Mayo without actually knowing what Cinco de Mayo is about?
Yeah, they think it's a sink made of mayonnaise.
It's just a party day.
I'm going to throw up in my mouth just thinking about that. But okay.
Because they're dumb. Toodle, thanks for jumping on, buddy. I appreciate you very much. Always good to talk to you, pal.
Thanks,
Toodles. See you later. Take care. I want to get back to some of the data that I was the information that I was sharing, because another argument specifically as it relates to the lies being told by the base to justify their hatred towards brown-skinned people, and so that they can fire up their base thinking that yes, the brown-skinned people are the threat. Taxes. Because you'll hear the right talk about this. You'll hear saying, well, they're a drain on the system. They're taking all of our money. Well, okay, really. So undocumented immigrants in the U.S. pay tens of billions of dollars taxes annually. Most of you know some of this data because you're the smartest chat on TikTok, but let's go through it a little bit. Even though they can't access most services funded by those taxes. In 2022, this is from the internet. This is from ITEP. This is from Reuters, confirmation of data. In 2022, undocumented immigrants contributed about $96.7 billion in combined taxes, federal, state, and local. $59.4 billion in federal taxes and $37.3 in state and local taxes. 2023 study estimates $55.8 billion in federal and $33.9 billion in state, totaling $90 billion. So a little bit less in 2023. Okay, per person averages. Estimates suggest each undocumented immigrant contributes on average $8,889 per year across all tax types. Social Security taxes they pay. Medicare taxes they pay. Undocumented workers pay through payroll withholdings, even though they're not eligible for benefits. In 2023, roughly $43 billion to payroll taxes and $22 billion in federal income taxes. Sales, excise, and property taxes constituted 45 to 57% of state local tax payments. For example, in Florida, undocumented people contributed $1.8 billion in 1 year. In 1 year. But they don't get to take advantage of the benefits. Undocumented immigrants contribute substantially to public coffers, supporting infrastructure, social insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and state local services, yet largely remain excluded from these benefits. Here's the most important part. Undocumented, this is regard to jobs, because part of the argument is that they're taking our jobs. Undocumented immigrants fill jobs very few Americans want, primarily in agriculture, construction, hospitality, elder care, and domestic work. Now, when we see the ICE raids on TV, you know, the cowards who wear their masks cosplaying as law enforcement, where are they going? They're going to farms. They're going to construction sites. They're going to hotels, motels, restaurants, and they're showing up outside of the elder care facilities. The people that are performing the jobs that lazy ass fucking entitled Americans don't want to do. So that's where ICE is going. And yet, somehow or other, the messaging from the right has been able to convince their smooth brain base that these people are taking their jobs. U.S. citizens largely avoid these roles, even in areas with high unemployment, primarily red states. For example, during Trump era crackdowns on farm labor, crops were left to rot because citizens didn't fill those jobs even when offered. Same thing today. Agriculture industry, decimated. Not only are they being decimated by the new big, bold, beautiful piece of shit bill, but they're being decimated because the workforce is being either not showing up because they're afraid of being deported, or they're actually being deported. Okay. Multiple economic studies show that undocumented immigration has no significant effect on native-born workers' wages overall. In some industries, wages for low-skilled U.S. workers may be slightly depressed, but this effect is small, geographically and occupationally limited, and often offset by lower prices and increased economic demand. By increasing demand for goods and services, immigrants help fuel business growth and job creation. Many undocumented immigrants are also entrepreneurs, employing both citizens and non-citizens. So tell me again, if they're committing less crime by half, if they are working in industries that lazy-ass entitled Americans don't want to work in, they are paying nearly $100 billion in taxes every year, federal, state, local, municipal, and they're not able to take advantage of the benefits provided. How are they then a drain on our system? Undocumented immigrants do not steal jobs. Instead, they fill essential roles, they keep prices lower and the economy running, they pay taxes and contribute to demand, including the GDP, and they compete minimally, if at all, with U.S.-born workers for most jobs. The real challenge is labor policy, not immigration itself, period. I am sick and tired of this argument. I am sick and tired of fucking conservatives, because you are all the problem, minimizing people, diminishing people, considering people as property. Women are not your property. Immigrants are not your property. Members of the LGBTQIA community are not your property. Members of the disabled community are not your property. People in marginalized groups in general are not your property, you fucking entitled white people. They're not your property. They do more, just like we on the left care more about your children than they do. Undocumented immigrants in those marginalized groups care more about the society than you do. They contribute more. They provide more. They do more. Man. Oh, cool. Let's talk to our buddy here. Talk about a hero. Yes, good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm here, right? Like
you are.
I mean, that's all I can say. It's not a good morning. It's not a bad morning. It's just a morning.
It's just a morning. Like I tell my kids when they leave the house in the morning, be safe, be kind, be gentle, and have a day. Because I don't want to put any expectations on their head. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, Brett. So, folks, if you don't know, our friend Brett In the link tree in my bio, you'll find a few ways to support Brett. You'll find the link to the merch store. The first item you'll see in the merch store is the t-shirt, "A Sound of Children Screaming Has Been Removed," the official motto of the United States of America. Any and all proceeds from the sale of those shirts between now and next Friday will go directly to Brett and Nikki. You'll also see his Cash App. You'll also see a link to the GoFundMe. So these are all things that we can do to help support our friend get the hell out of Uvalde. Anything you want to share about on that topic, Brett? Tell us what's going on.
I mean, so for those that don't know, we lost Uzziah, our son, on May 24th, 2022 here in Uvalde. Since then, I have been loud and unwavering in my fight against the injustices that caused that to happen, whether it be city, state, the school district, federally, and have been met with resistance the whole time. Going so far as for arresting me for saying fuck. The cops have jumped on us and literally abused us for my wife saying fuck, all because they don't like that we stand against them and their inaction on the day that our son was murdered. So just trying to get out of here and to be able to just breathe, it's not gonna, I've heard people be like, it's gonna heal you and everything. I'm never gonna be healed from this, but I just want to be able to breathe. So.
Yeah. So again, friends, like we talked about before, I feel confident in saying this, that, Brett and I become friends. I should not know Brett Cross and Nikki Cross. I should not know them. I'm glad I do. But we shouldn't know each other. But I consider you a friend. And, we're going to try to do, like we've done in the past, try to help you out as best we can. So again, friends, it's another reminder. Link to the GoFundMe that's been set up to help Brett, Nikki, and his family get out of Uvalde. You'll find that in the link tree. You'll find the link to the merch store, and you'll see the first item in the merch store is the t-shirt, "The Sound of Children Screaming Has Been Removed," the new motto of the United States of America. Any and all proceeds from any sales of those between now and next Friday will go directly to Brett, and the link to his Cash App is there as well. So all these things are there if you'd like to support. We're asking people if it's $1 donation day. So there's 716 people in here. If each of you gave $1, either to the GoFundMe or to their Cash App directly, then it helps us get a long way to the goal. So there you go. And the Cash App and Venmo is cross0524. We know things are tough for people, but these are the kind of people that have been through more than anyone should ever have to go through. So if there's anything you can do, friends, to help, then do it. Plus, I think the t-shirt, if you're looking for a way to protest, it's a good one because it's subtle enough to people to ask questions and they're like, what? Wait, what? And then you can tell them the story. And like I said, any and all proceeds from the sales of any of those items between from today through next Friday will go directly to Brett. There you go. Let me bring that up on the screen. I'll give you the big screen here. Hold on a second. There we go.
I don't think it shows up as well.
No, it didn't show it. I'll go back the other way. Yep. Sorry, my bad. Try to be technical. You guys know me in tech.
Yeah, I'm too old for this as well. So we're getting on up there, man.
We are, buddy. Well, listen, don't even go there, pal. Don't even go there. You don't know. We've got Obi and I have socks older than you. So nice try.
It's got to be some old ass socks then, because man, I'm pushing 40.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And by pushing
that's a good
40,
point.
I'm 34. So
okay,
like
yeah. So there you go. Yeah, 34. Yep. So if people can't, if people aren't in a position to donate, can you maybe are there other things that people can do to try to help? Like, do you need resources? Do you need a place to go? Do you need anything to help when the potential move? I mean, what else can we do?
I mean, we're right now we're not really trying to say where we're trying to move to. It'll still be Texas because I have a whole lot of Texas work to be done. But we have had stalkers in the past. We've been doxxed. We've been swatted several times. So Not really, but if you can't help, just share Uzziah's story. 100%. Do the Bury Me Loud challenge. Just keep Uzziah, keep his name and his legacy alive. Sorry, I just woke up. And just keep fighting so that your children's lives aren't at such a high risk. Fight for other people's children, because that's the main thing to me. No matter what, is literally just saving children's lives. It's making it so where no other child has to experience what Uzziah did. It's making it to where you don't have to make the same decisions like I did. Like, having to choose which cartoon character goes on your child's casket. Just keep the fight alive. Keep calling your representatives. Do the shotline.org. There's many ways that people can help anyways.
It is Father's Day weekend. And I know that I always joke that Mother's Day is like a week long and Father's Day is like a half hour, which is fine. Most of us just want to make, just give us a chance to sleep in or whatever. But it is Father's Day weekend. And you, like me and like Obi, we have a difficult time taking our flowers sometimes. As you know, we've talked about that. So take your flowers for being an amazing dad, for doing what you've done to make sure that your kids are still pushing on the things that matter in the world. Kindness, empathy, compassion, honesty, sincerity, integrity, all the things that you stand for. Don't forget that. So happy Father's Day in advance to you, my guy. Also to you, Obi. I think there's, again, friends, just to recap, Brett's pay apps are on the screen. It's cross 0524. Couple of different ways that in addition that you can support. If you'd like to support the GoFundMe, you'll find that link in the link tree in my bio. You'll find Brett's Cash App in my bio. You'll also find a link to the merch store, and any and all proceeds from the sale of the shirt. The first one you'll see is The Sound of Children Screaming has been removed, the new motto of the United States of America. That is the first one you'll see. And again, any and all proceeds from the sale of that shirt between now and next Friday will go directly to Brett and Nikki. So there's lots of ways to help, friends. And again, $1. If all you got to do, if all of you gave $1 to his Cash App or Venmo at 0524 cross 0524, then we're going to get a long way to our goal. So thank you all in advance for that.
And real quick,
yeah, buddy.
Thank you so much, Katrina, Angie, Lindsay, Fish, Trucker, I'm terrible with names. Elderon, Catherine. Thank you so much. Jill, Rebel, Shawnee, Lucy, Meredith, and Rita. Thank y'all so much. I truly appreciate it.
I've got some donations for you that came in yesterday, the day before. I'll send you when we're done today.
Absolutely, brother.
So you know how much we love you, Brett.
Yes, sir.
You know that. We're there to support you, whatever in whatever way and however that looks. Like I've said before, your family has been in. To say your family's been through enough is the ultimate understatement. But we're here to help however we can. I'll promote this. I'll do another reminder video later for folks. Probably going to go live again tonight and maybe even doing something over the weekend. I'll just continue to hammer on the message to try to help you guys out as best we can.
Thank you so much. And also, everybody, keep fighting these fucking fascists.
It is Antifa Friday. Yes, yeah. Keep fighting these fucking fascists. Absolutely. I appreciate you, pal. Thanks for jumping in, saying hello. We love you, man.
Love you, brother.
All right, I'll talk to you later. All right, friends, you know the deal. That's the deal. Hello, Obi. It's good to see your handsome face there, sir. You look skinny.
And also, Spooderman.
You got. Oh yeah, Spooderman. You should go grab mine.
Yeah, losing weight's fun. So exciting. How. Oh, hold on. We'll keep it rated G.
Okay. Hi.
Hello. At least somebody puts up with me.
Somebody, yeah. So again, friends, part of the, oops, hold on a second. One of the things that we discuss here on the regular is the fact that there are certain people in the world that we should just not know. Like I just said, obviously, Obi and I, it's one thing, but none of us should know who Brett is. We shouldn't know him. Not in a way, not that we don't want to know him, but we just shouldn't know him. We shouldn't know of the families of the victims of gun violence in our country. We shouldn't know who these people are. We shouldn't know them. We should be we should be strangers. We should walk by each other and bump shoulders in the mall on our way to the Orange Julius stand and just be like, sorry, and then that's it. Seriously. So keep that in mind, right? And again, happy Father's Day to all dads out there. Like, enjoy your half hour, fellas. Enjoy your half hour if you get it. But I'm serious. Like, we just need to remember these kinds of things as to why it's so incredibly important. And I said this last night, this term unexpected angels, right? Brett, even though he's been the victim of this, he's been an unexpected angel in my life because it just reminds me of the things that are so incredibly important. He has every reason to give up, every fucking reason in the world to say enoughs, and he is not. On the contrary. Brett and I've had stark conversations. He was never involved in politics, didn't give a fuck. It's like, he just didn't give a shit. But now, because he needs to address this shit because he doesn't want the next Uvalde to happen, or the next Parkland to happen, or the next El Paso or Buffalo or wherever to happen. So use that as fuel. Remember Brett, remember Uzi, remember Nikki, and go out there and fight these fascist fucks. Thank you. Okay.
Hey,
again,
I want to give you. I want to give you one stat, and then I'm going to pop to do some capitalism.
Okay.
I guess on a Friday, 7:30 a.m. seemed like a good time to schedule a call with me.
Yeah, that's
Said
great.
No one ever.
Seriously.
The best and most accurate study on immigrant-led households was done in 2019, and that study looked back 10 years and realized that the data for
I'll be right back.
2019 was as follows. Immigrant-led households contributed $492 billion between state, local, and federal, not just in taxes, but in the economy. So if you think that immigrant-led households are a bad thing, buckle up, they're not. Also, immigrant-led households equal consumers. Consumers drive the economy. Big business does not drive the economy. People who own businesses do not drive the economy. Only consumers drive the economy, because if consumers aren't buying what you're selling, you don't have a business. So, again, Los Angeles is not burning. The protests are literally occupying about 4.5 blocks. Downtown LA is incredibly tiny. It's a really tiny area, so don't fall for the stuff. Please stop watching legacy media when it comes to the coverage of LA. Please stop. Please only read from local sources, right? So if it's not local journalists on the street or people streaming with 9,000 batteries trying to do a live all day on various apps, don't believe it, because we that live here know better. Anyway, hey, bro, it's always awesome to see you, even though you made me very uncomfortable as I was trying to walk the dog. But I've never heard you talk about a fiery fist and a cock ring within a couple of sentences.
Well, and I would like to point something out within a moment after my making that statement. Rusty requested, so I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just saying it's almost like the mating call in a strange way. It's like I could do this. Hold on, wait, just before I leave.
Rusty, I'm about to say something feisty, controversial, and maybe a little saucy. So pay attention, please. Thank you, and please try the veal.
So what you're saying is in the middle of this Venn diagram was Uncle Rusty.
Exactly. Good luck with your capitalism, my guy. I'll talk to you later.
Love you. Peace.
Love you too, man. See you. Peace. He's right about, like we talk about this a lot, right? Do not, do not pay attention to legacy media. It's a mission of mine to try to remind you guys that of every day. Somebody who worked in legacy media for a while, to you, they're lying to you. Sensationalized. Again, there's a difference between the integrity of a journalist and the packaging and programming you get from some of the large national media syndicates. Local news, absolutely pay attention there because they're the ones that are closest to the fight, so to speak. Okay, so I just wanted to close the loop on some of the pushing back on some of the bullshit connected to. First of all, we discussed the criminal element. We know that U.S. citizens commit crimes at a 50% higher rate, violent crimes, property crimes. So when the administration tells you, like, well, let's do this, just real quick again. It's important for context. When Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, is out there saying this.
The administration has talked a lot about defending law enforcement over the last week or so that these protests are going on. But you've been criticized for having a double standard with the president pardoning all these people who attacked police officers on January 6th in his first day in office. How do you answer that criticism?
Well, this is very different. These are people out there hurting people in California right now. This is ongoing, no longer. We're going to protect them. We're going to do everything we can to prosecute violent criminals in California. California is...
So you're going to prosecute white men because they're the violent criminals. So, okay. That's good to know, Pam. I appreciate that you're looking out for us because you're going to go after the people who are actually the criminal element. Okay.
Burning. These people are waving Mexican flags.
Oh, wait. Oh. So they're waving Mexican flags. So are they white people waving Mexican flags? Because they're the ones that are committing the crimes.
Yet they don't want anyone to go back to Mexico. They're burning American flags.
So?
This is the United States of America, and we're going to protect Americans. We're going to protect all citizens out there.
You're going to protect all Americans and all citizens. Got it. Did you guys catch that little dog whistle there at the end? Right. Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Okay. I just want to make sure that we're clear about this. You're going to go after the people that are committing the crimes, the criminals. So that, by and large, in our society, would be white men, Pam. Yeah. They're white men. They're the ones that are committing the crimes. Yep. Just so you know. So I'm glad to see that you're on the job, Pam. Okay. So again, addressing the issue of the day at the moment is as we respond to these kinds of things, we know full well that the crime is not being committed by undocumented immigrants. Not even close. Less than half. We know that the immigrants are not coming for your jobs. In fact, they're working jobs because you lazy fucks won't do it. You won't do it. You won't work in agriculture. You won't work in construction. You won't work in all these industries that are overwhelmingly supported by undocumented immigrants and immigrants in general. And you will, first of all, those of you, the ultimate hypocrite would be these small construction firms who hire undocumented immigrants, pay them under the table, and then complain or then cheer the fact that undocumented immigrants are being sent across the border or whatever. What are you barking at? Yeah, they're still doing construction in front of my house, you guys, so my apologies. He's warning me of other white men who might want to commit violent crimes in my area. Okay, so annual taxes paid. We discussed this. This is the summary, cost versus contribution. Okay, annual taxes paid between $95 and $97 billion, state, federal, local. The net cost. Let me back up a second. These are the services that undocumented are able to take advantage of. Public K through 12 education, which is required by the Supreme Court in Plyler versus Doe from 1982. Anybody have an issue with that? Okay. Actually, MAGA would because they don't give a shit about the court. Emergency medical care. Hospitals by law are required to provide it. We discussed this before. It's not like Kipper needs an Antifa bandana. Kipper has an Antifa bandana or my shoes or whatever the hell is in range. Emergency medical care. We know part of the lie saying that one of the attempted justifications to cut Medicaid spending are Medicaid is because they don't want illegals taking advantage of Medicaid. They don't. They just don't. Instigator, are you a coward? Or are you going to request to come up and so I can dunk on you this morning too? You're probably a coward. You're not brave enough. Undocumented immigrants are not flooding the system. They seek treatment in hospitals. They're not given care. They're not eligible for these federal programs, right? They're not eligible for these programs. So it's another lie that's being told. The tens of millions of Americans will lose their health insurance coverage because you smooth-brained potatoes believe you're members of Congress when it's like, oh, we got to get the waste, fraud, and abuse, blah, 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 blah. Liars. Some state-funded program they can take advantage of, like child nutrition or disaster relief in certain states. Again, you don't care about kids, so miss me with your bullshit. They do not receive welfare or Social Security, and they cannot access federal student aid and or college loans. They do not receive welfare or Social Security, and they do not have access to federal student aid or college loans. Okay? That's the truth. $97 billion paid in 2022, and then just slightly under $95 billion paid in 2023. Federal, state, local taxes at a cost of around 10 to 15 billion. So they net out $80 billion as a benefit to the American society. And you know what? This is going to blow your mind, MAGA. Many immigrants live in California. California is a donor state, which means undocumented immigrants who are paying federal taxes because they do are paying for your shit in your red states who can't balance their budget. Did you even think about that for a second? Did that thought even cross your mind? That in states with immigrant populations like California, for example, they contribute $85 billion annually to the federal government because your states in the Gulf Coast that border the Gulf of Mexico, they are paying for your shit, and they're not able to take advantage of the shit that you get. They are paying for it. Undocumented immigrants are more American than you traitorous fucks will ever be. Undocumented immigrants care more about you and your family than you do. Undocumented immigrants care more about your culture and your society than you do. Sanctuary cities, by the way, the criticism from the House GOP specifically regarding sanctuary cities, California voted for this. I forget what the proposition was, like 187 or something like that. They voted for it. They voted to have a sanctuary city, states' rights. That's what the state decided. They wanted it that way. They wanted their city and their state to be sanctuary cities and states. Right? If that's the case, why did Obama deport? Because we're talking about you can't follow a logic. Oh my God, you people are so stupid. This is not about deportation. I don't think we have to address illegal immigration. We have to address it. But we address it through the court system. We address it through due process. So where you guys are so fucking confused. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What? What? Anyway, so you probably live in one of those states that border the Gulf of Mexico. You know, that beautiful body of water west of Florida, south of Alabama, the Gulf of Mexico. Undocumented immigrants are paying for your shit. So undocumented immigrant population, just stop paying your federal taxes because MAGA apparently doesn't need you. Go look at ACLU, Obama deportations. Why are you such a coward down with the sickness? That's what I want to know. Why are you such a coward? Why are you so unpatriotic? Why are you so anti-American? Why are you so lazy? Why are you so pathetic? Why don't you give a shit that undocumented immigrants care more about you and your family than you do? It's weird. Social Security, they paid in $13 billion in 2023 and get no benefits back. Net impact fiscally, positive. especially for younger immigrants with children in U.S. schools who become tax-paying citizens. Birthright citizenship, right? They contribute to our society. It's a net positive, and there is no data anywhere to support your hatred of brown people. Therefore, that's why we call you bigots. You can find information in the National Academy of Sciences that found first-generation immigrants may cost more than they pay in at first, but their children contribute more than average over a lifetime. The Cato Institute determined that undocumented immigrants are less costly per capita than U.S. citizens, and many pay taxes under ITINs. And then the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, most undocumented families contribute more than they receive, especially in states with large immigrant workforces. Bottom line, undocumented immigrants do use limited public services, especially K through 12 education and emergency care, but they cannot access social safety net programs. They pay billions of dollars in taxes annually, often without receiving benefits, and they are not a drain. In fact, they are a net positive on our society. I'm sorry that you don't like the data, but that's the data. Federal taxes, $90 billion. Federal taxes, $55 to $60 billion. State and local, $37 billion. On average, $9,000 annually. It's just the deal. It's just I don't know why it is that you guys just don't bother reading. Is there anything else I wanted to cover off on that? Let me see. I think I got it covered. Okay. I wanted to do this today as well. Since we had a lot of conversations earlier this week, and I want to open this up for anybody who wants to come up and talk about it. I had this. We went through a lot of things this week, right? Everybody, please continue to like and share the live. Please continue to tap. Don't forget there's a gift and goal. Do not forget about joining our team. You want to contribute to the channel? A couple ways you can do it. This is crowdfunded. Anything you can do to help us out, we'd appreciate it. If this is your political magic wand, I'm giving it to you. We talked about what universal health care would do to our society. We talked about how, responsible approach to firearms would save lives. We've talked about how a tax system that benefits the middle class and the working poor, right, would benefit all of us. All boats rise. And we talked about education reform. So if this is your political magic wand, what is your wish? Like, what do you want? What do you want to see? Simple. Like, what do you want to see? Do you want things just to stabilize? Do you just want normalcy? Or do you literally want to burn it down and start from scratch? And I'm not saying burn it down. Universal health care, exactly. I agree, right? What do you want? If I'm responsible for, advising campaign strategists, which I'm working on, by the way, that's what I'm going to tell them. I would lock them in a room, and I'd sit across the table, and I would say, don't talk about anything other than universal health care and education. Nothing else. I want you to have health care. I want you, MAGA voter, to have health care. And I want your children to have the best education of any country in the world. The best outcomes, the most affordable, the access to the most amount of resources. That's a winning conversation, you guys. That is a winning conversation. Healthcare, you don't have to talk about it in terms of universal healthcare. Don't let them spin the narrative back on you, calling it socialism or communism or Marxism or fascism, because they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Just I want to make sure that you have access to the best healthcare in the world. I want American excellence to shine when it comes to healthcare. I want American excellence. I want America to be first in healthcare in the world. I want America to be first in education. I want America to be first in providing resources to the people like you who might need it. You can't lose there. It's not a conversation. It's not a debate that you can lose, because that it appeals to their emotions, because we know that they're up in their fifis a lot, but it's also practical. 6 more subs, guys, for our sub goal to be able to do another giveaway contest next week. Thank you, Dak. Appreciate you very much. That's very kind. Listen, this is a fight, friends. I don't say that hyperbolically. This is a fight because we have millions of people in our country that don't believe that we should have the best healthcare system or the best education system. They just don't. Think about that, right? Just think about that. Think about the fact that there are people that literally would vote against having the best healthcare, or having the best education, or having the best tax policy. Oh, I mean, that's fucking crazy. All right, I'm going to play let's have a little bit of fun. I found this great clip from Seth Meyers. You guys know that I like to poke a little fun at Caroline. Well, Seth Meyers had a little fun with it. Let me see if I can find the sound, because this is really great. He does these little things where he's like an audience member or he's in the press corps. Here you go. This is funny. So Seth is posing as if he is a member of the press corps, and he's asking KKK. You'll follow along with what they're doing here.
This cabinet is starting to fall into place. How would you describe the group that's been confirmed so far?
Rapists, gang members, and suspected terrorists.
Your words. Tell me something about the Trump administration that will really bum me out.
We've only been here for a few days.
Have there been any new developments in the few minutes since we started this press briefing?
Egg prices increased 65%.
Yeah. Who would be more qualified to run the Department of Health and Human Services than RFK Jr.?
Anybody in this country, whether you are a TikTok content creator, a blogger, a podcaster.
We know that President Trump likes to work out of the Oval Office in Mar-a-Lago, but what is his least favorite place to operate?
Within the confines of the law.
Oh, yeah. All right, ready? Caroline, I've got a riddle for you. Are you ready? Great. Got your riddle face on. Here we go. What do you call it when the Incredible Hulk introduces a new crypto coin?
The green new scam.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, I think that's fun. That's just great. All right, I've got a little bit more sound. This time it's going to be from Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart doing the Jon Stewart thing. Remember how in this space, oftentimes we discuss that everything is a distraction. And just as a reminder, the news cycle the last 24 hours has been, even by the muzzle velocity of misinformation, even if that's elevated, right? You've got a situation with Israel and Iran. You've got the judges ruling that the National Guard overstepped, district court judge, and then the appeals court judge came in to say, okay, we're going to pause that. We're going to look at it a little bit more. Trump claiming a victory. We've got Alex Padilla, senator, being thrown to the ground, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Remember, it's all a distraction. Some of these things that they're self-inflicted, like, ballistic podiatry, right? Shooting yourself in one's foot. But there was a lot of things that were happening prior to the civil unrest perpetuated and instigated by the Trump administration. So Jon Stewart will take us through it, because Jon Stewart's the man for this.
Why escalate this shit now? The unrest in LA is predictable outcome of these aggressive tactics. I believe the right refers to federal overreach as "don't tread on me, we the people, cold dead hands," something along those lines. So why is this happening now? What's it meant to distract from? I mean, I can't even remember. What were we even talking about right before the first Waymo went up in flames?
Elon Musk is now accusing Trump of being in the Epstein files.
Oh, right. That's what we were talking about. Which, now, to be fair to Trump, it is ridiculous I mean, you can't just make wild accusations like that just because Trump and Epstein hung out once or twice, or Trump was in the flight logs, or Epstein called Trump his closest friend, or they went to parties and whispered, I can only assume biblical passages in each other's ear. I'm telling you, Epstein, 2 Corinthians, you got to check it out. It's f***ing awesome. It's not a crime to be in each other's hearts. And what indication has Trump ever given that there may be things within those Epstein files that may be concerning to him?
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there. A lot of phony stuff in there. You can put anything in a file, say anything about anybody. By the way, just for the record, asking a 17-year-old masseuse if she's planning on staying in the United States, that's a legitimate question. And the rest of the video is AI. If there's a video. My favorite moment was when the head of the FBI, Kash Patel, found out Elon accused Trump of being on the Epstein list live
in real time
podcasting.
Does he know that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, or does he have access to the Epstein files?
I don't know how he would, but I'm just staying out of the Trump Elon thing. That's way outside my lane.
What are they doing?
I know my lane, and that ain't it.
Not your lane? Aren't you literally in charge of the Epstein files?
Exactly.
I know my lane. I'm just a guy in charge of law enforcement domestically. Conspiracies, crimes, cover-ups.
Right. It's kind of true, right? It's like everything is intended to be misdirection, pivot, deny, deflect, defend. Kash Patel bragged about how he would be the one that would unmask the truth. Bum, bum, bum. Wait, I have a sound for that. Don't I? Yes, I don't. Right? He was the one that was tasked to do it. He was the one that was told to go investigate it. Now it's not going to stay. It's not in my lane. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell the truth. Objectivity, right? Those of us who vote, again, those of us who care more about your kids than you do, your families than you do, your job than you do, your future than you do, than your retirement than you do, those of us over here just want objectivity. And if you unredact everything that is in the Epstein files, and there is a Democrat or a liberal or whomever is in there, lock them all the fuck up and throw away the key and bury them all under the jail. Do you see how easy that is? Right? So all we are asking is that you guys do the same. Because if you truly care about crimes against children and you want P3DOs locked up and you want people who are committing crimes against kids, then don't you want to know who they are? If Clinton's in there or Bill Gates or whomever, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. So then why can't you go into one of your safe space lives where there's 9 people in the room and 8 of them are in the box and you yell and scream at each other about, oh, the left, they're harming kids. Okay, then say, you know what? We probably should see what's in the Epstein files. Let's take a look and see what's in there. Unredacted. All the names. Not edited. Not AI scrubbed. And then when the truth comes out, because we all know that he and Epstein were friends. So is it just a coincidence that they showed up at parties together and Epstein used to refer to Trump as one of his besties? And we know he's on the flight log. So then do you want to just assume that even though Donald Trump has a propensity for saying horrible, disgusting things about young girls, including his own teenage daughter, Ivanka, and his 2-year-old daughter, Tiffany, telling a 10-year-old girl he'd be dating her in 10 years, bragging about walking in on Miss Teen USA competitions when they were in various states of undress. You then want us to believe that he didn't participate in any of the things that Jeffrey Epstein did? Okay. If that is your claim, then let's see the whole report. Katie Johnson, exactly. Then let's see the whole report. Let's see the whole thing. Why is it so hard for you to do that? You guys were cheering 125, 140 days ago when Kash Patel came out and said, we're going to release the Epstein tape, the Epstein files. Cool. You know what? We all agreed. We all said the same thing. You guys said it because you thought it was just going to be Bill Clinton, and some people even said Joe Biden was on it, that Barack Obama was on it. And we're like, okay, so if they're on it, fucking throw them in jail. Arrest them, throw the book at them, bury them under the fucking jail. But now your boy Elon comes out and says, just FYI, your boy Elon comes out and says that Trump was in the Epstein files, right? That Trump is on the list. Trump is in the Epstein files. Now, all of a sudden, you don't want it released? Do you see why we call you pathetic pieces of shit hypocrites? Do you see why we tell you that you cannot be objective? Do you see why we do that? Do you see why it's just we're asking for logical consistency to not be a hypocrite, to try to be objective? Come here. What sock do you have? Who knows? It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. You're right. That's exactly right. They use their logic thinking we are like them and follow our leaders blindly. That's exactly right. You think that we would try to protect someone who's on the Epstein list. I don't give a fuck who you are. Bob Menendez, throw his fucking ass in jail. If Joe Biden committed crimes and you can prove it, throw his fucking ass in jail. I don't give a shit. I don't care who it is. You find crimes against Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Max Frost, I don't give a shit. Any of them. Throw the fucking book at them. Because you know what? I don't cheer on politicians like they're celebrities. They fucking work for us. We vote for them. They work for us. We, the people, hold them accountable. So why is it so difficult for you to do the same? And none of you can ever answer that question. None of you. Why is that? Don't you find it weird when you find yourself in these positions and you just can't answer simple questions? Hi, Priscilla.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
I'm wonderful. So I was intrigued by your background. It says Antifa Friday, of course. I'm anti-fascist. This is your political magic wand. What is your wish? So are you asking me what my wish is?
Yes.
Okay, sure. So my wish would be to, obviously, I don't know if you know that I'm in the second round of a race to run against Clay Higgins. I'm pretty sure you know who Clay Higgins is. So
yes.
I ran against him last year. This year. I kind of got my months all mixed up. Sorry, it was last year. And I came in 60,000 votes without even campaigning. And I outpaced any other candidate that has ever run against him. Mind you, he has a $500,000 war chest. And this was just through my TikTok group. I did no campaigning. We raised about $3,000 and I got 60,000 votes. The Democrats denounced me because I was Mexican. A lot of them were racist towards me. I'm talking about Democrats in Lafayette, Louisiana. And my wish for this year, because I'm already campaigning with my group of little TikTokers and we're doing fundraisers and stuff like that. My wish would be to flip that seat, and my wish would be to outbeat Clay Higgins. So I have a website, and I hope it's okay if I put Pris.com. I'm not asking endorsement. It's prisforcongress.com. I do have ActBlue, and I do go on live. We do fundraisers. We do everything online, and we try to raise as much money because he does have a huge war chest. But I thank you for this. This was actually refreshing. And if any other candidate out there is running, I remember you did this last year when I was running also. And I came on your live, and I greatly, greatly appreciate you. And thank you for having me on your platform. And you're amazing.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Priscilla. I appreciate that. And as we get closer, we're gonna do this again. So please come back. And if anything specific, any or updates for your campaign, we'd be happy to have you back. Thank you for being here, friend, and good luck. Appreciate you. And thank you for being a member of Antifa. We appreciate you. Have a good day. Talk to you later. All right, bye. That's cool. Obviously, the more people we have that are recognizing the fact that they're anti-fascist. Listen, folks, wear it proudly, because what's the converse? So when somebody calls you out and says, "Oh, you're Antifa," then you're fascist. Well, no. Well, yeah. Well, no, I ain't fascist. You're just Antifa. My guy, what does Antifa stand for? Well, you guys are, yep. Because anti would be against. Fa would be fascism in this case, which means that we are anti-fascist. So the opposite of being anti-fascist would be pro-fascist, therefore fascist. Thank you. It's weird. Like, what a stupid response. Like, you're opposed to being, you're against people who are against fascism? What? That's a weird flex. So weird. Okay. I want to play some sound from Rand Paul because I think it's interesting. I think I talked about this. Before we do that, let's talk about James Comer. So he chairs oversight, and he is incompetent and incapable of his job. So Max Frost is on this committee, and I want you to hear how this conversation goes. You'll hear from Marjorie Three Toes. She's in this. And yes, and I want you to hear how this conversation goes. Maxwell Frost, an elected member of Congress, has every right under the rules within these hearing committees, these House committees. And I want you to hear how this conversation goes. Again, James Comer is incompetent. James Comer should never mind elected, should not be in a position of leadership for sure. So this is how the conversation goes. Just this is awful. Just listen.
Chair now recognizes
Mr. Chair. Unanimous consent request.
Mr. Frost.
Unanimous consent request into the record a NBC article. Senator Alex Padilla removed from news conference with Homeland Security Secretary Noem.
All right, without objection to order.
I have another one, the Hill article. Padilla forcibly removed from Noem press conference.
Without objection to order.
And I have a third one, Axios Democratic Senator forcibly removed from DHS press conference.
Without objection to order.
Mr. Chair, also, we were just talking about this. I want to know if you can commit to working with us so we can...
You're out of order. Chair recognizes
I have a point of order.
No.
I have a point of order.
State your point.
We need to subpoena.
That's not
Secretary
a point of order.
Noem.
Chair recognizes
We just
Ms.
talked
Green.
about this
Not
earlier.
a point.
We talked
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You already
Reclaiming
had
my
your chance.
time.
Don't even listen to me.
Reclaiming my
Chair recognizes
time.
Ms. Green.
Reclaiming my time.
In handcuffs. In his own damn
Oh, Democrats can't follow the rules. Can't follow the law. Can't follow the rules. Can't follow the law.
We need to subpoena Kristi Noem.
Chair recognizes Ms. Green.
DHS federal
There's a privilege of the majority, and that means we're in charge, not your side. Because you lost the election.
Ms. Green, we're going to start the
because
clock.
you supported the invasion of our country.
All right.
It's my time.
Will you commit on the record
to
work
my
on
time.
subpoena
Thank you,
Kristi
Mr.
Noem?
Chairman. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
You're out of order. Chair recognizes
Will
Ms.
you
Green.
commit on the record to subpoenaing Kristi Noem because a U.S. senator was just thrown to the ground and detained in his own...
Democrats can't follow the rules.
out of
Can't
order.
follow the law. Can't follow the
Shut
rules.
up. Shut up.
There it is. James Comer, the chairman of the committee, told an elected member of Congress to shut up.
No, you don't. No, you're not going to tell me to shut up.
How do you get him in order? You're running
not like that.
He has been out of order 6 times.
So he is asking his aide to help him because he's incompetent and incapable of doing his job. I will remind you that Maxwell Frost is a young black man in Congress. James Comer does not know what he's doing. He doesn't understand the rules. He doesn't know what a privilege motion is. He doesn't know what a point of order is. He has no fucking clue how this works. And then Marjorie Three Toes jumps in and says the Democrats don't know the rules or the law. As a reminder, Marjorie Taylor Greene subpoenaed a witness to a hearing, the Doge Committee hearing, 2 weeks ago. And then she doctored a picture claiming that the person who was doing this, she cut out the index finger so it looked like that. She doctored the picture of the witness that she subpoenaed. Thank goodness for Congresswoman Stansbury, who showed the actual photograph. And Marjorie Three Toes Greene wants to lecture people regarding the rules and decorum and the law.
He's trying to get on MSNBC. You probably knocked. I get it. Somebody off MSNBC to get on there.
Because he's been arrested.
The accusation said, I know you're trying to get on TV. It's going to knock somebody off MSNBC and NBC, right?
He's a former Antifa member, right?
Back
Antifa.
to order, Ms. Green. Go.
He's a former Antifa member, Mr. Chairman.
A former Antifa member. I'm glad I just discussed this. So first of all, it's not a group, a former Antifa member, Marjorie. So Marjorie, you're opposed to people who are anti-fascist? Guess what that makes you, Marjorie? Say it with me, friends. Marjorie, that makes you a fascist. It's Antifa Friday ASMR. Marjorie, that makes you a fascist. I know you don't want people to know that, but it makes you a fascist. Okay? Just so you know. Cool.
And
you got
no
it.
Surprise.
Who's a former Antifa member? Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
You.
I asked that these words be taken down.
No, Ms. Green. Thank you. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion.
Governor
Ms. Green is recognized.
Governor Hochul, you stated that you're a proud Democrat, proud registered Democrat.
All right, we got to suspend. There's been a parliamentary move. They said they weren't going to do that.
They said they weren't going to do that.
Just ask for the strike, what she said.
Maxwell Frost asked to have the record stricken, words struck from the record that she accused him of being a member of Antifa and that he was arrested. You see, you guys can't be objective. You can't have a conversation that's rooted in fact. It's just your feelings. Sorry to say. Flattered, good morning. How are you today?
How are you? Good.
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Do you have... Are those just moobs, or are you a woman dressing as a man? Your chest, it looks like you have boobs.
Do you sit in your space and think about saying things like that and to think that you're actually funny?
I'm not trying to be funny, dude.
Well, you're
Or
not.
gal. Yeah,
you're not
good,
funny.
because I'm not
are
trying
you?
to be.
Well, that's a good. So, how long have you been a bigot? When did you realize
Could you
that you were
answer
a
the
bigot?
question?
When did you realize you were a bigot?
I'm not a bigot.
Oh,
I
no,
was
you
just
are.
wondering a simple. It's just a simple
No,
question.
no, you are. When did you realize that you were a bigot?
I'm not.
Were
a
you
bigot.
born? Were you born
Bye.
that way?
You don't want to answer my question. So
were
bye.
you? I'm just curious. Were you born that way, or did you just evolve, or I should say, devolve into it? I'm curious. Like what? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Dad bot for the win. What? What a weird thing. Like what? 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 Oh my God. You don't want to answer, so bye. Yep. Thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate you. I don't know why it made me laugh, but it just did. Okay. So I think we have addressed James Comer's incompetence. Listen, have any of you ever been in a leadership position, right? Like leadership is something that, first of all, you have to, in my opinion, you have to earn it, right? But good leaders don't use their leadership to diminish people. Good leaders are ones who want everybody that they're responsible for to be better. That's what good leaders are doing. Whenever I was in leadership, whenever I would hire people or promote people, I would want to say, I want that person to take my job. I want that person to be better than me. And my job as a leader is to make sure that they are, in fact, better. In James Comer's world, in MAGA world, because like our previous guest, because they are the weakest, most pathetic people that have ever walked the earth, they think using their fucking gavel, overcompensate much, James? In an attempt to diminish people, they think that's strong leadership. What a flex. Like, what a weird thing. What a really weird approach. And then to have our previous guest, who's obviously got a crush on me. You're not my type. I prefer brains. I appreciate you, though. Actually, no, I don't. Okay, what else have I got here? A couple other things. Oh, let's see. This is interesting sound. This is a quick one. Let me do this first. You're starting to see. First of all, I don't agree with Foghorn Leghorn. Let me bring up Victoria for this. She'll laugh about this. Good morning.
Good morning. Peace.
How are you?
I'm good. Just
yeah.
getting started for the day. Did you see my video?
I've been live. I don't think I have been.
It's from yesterday. It was yesterday.
I did not.
So it was about the town hall that I went to the other day.
Yes.
I did not catch it in the moment. Or at least it didn't stick out because it was just. But she said visitors to this country. So I know a couple of people that should probably not come to the U.S. right now.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, welcome to Antifa Friday.
Just doing the thing. I also I caught on the local Facebook page, someone posted about us being there, and they said 4 people from the alternative party, which I'm now going to refer to us as the alternative party because fuck them.
Cool. Cool.
Tried to hijack her meeting. It was a fucking town hall. You absolutely, all the bad words. But I love that. So I've got a video saved that I'm just gonna post that later because I love, I just love that we're making it on the local Facebook page.
I am so proud of you.
I tried to hijack the meeting and they posted the next date for one. So guess who's gonna be there? And I might just fucking have it live.
Oh, there you go. That's even better. That's even better.
I'm just gonna put it on live. I've got enough stuff and be like, fuck it, I'll just do it live. Then if I get arrested, it will be live because I'm pretty sure she's gonna have police there next time.
Absolutely. I mean, sure, why not? It's a great campaign ad. No doubt about it. There's no such thing as bad press, right?
Nope.
Friends, hey, we're 5 subs away from our goal to hit 275. If we could do that today, that'd be awesome because then we can go into next week planning our next giveaway. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I want to play some sound. We're starting to see a little bit of pushback. I'm not going to say pushback from some prominent Republicans in Congress, but just some weird responses to certain things. Like there was questioning that Foghorn Leghorn, Senator Kennedy had done, questioning, the why are we blowing out the budget? Rand Paul similarly. So this is an interesting thing, and the conversation about Harvard and why Harvard would want to have How Do You Like Them Apples? Name that movie. How Do You Like Them Apples? Can you name that movie, Victoria? Can you name that movie?
Say the quote again. Sorry, I was doing my liberal job.
How do you like them apples?
like can see like 3 movies, but I can't think of the name right now.
Well, our chat's anxious, so they had to tell you. Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Anyway.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So
no, good. It was like, yeah.
I got her number. How do you like them apples? Yeah. So he was on, Senator Kennedy was on with Morning Joe, and then they were having a conversation about Harvard. So this is this is wild. Just listen to this.
I honestly believe, I know people, I'm well aware that President Trump exists loudly, but honestly believe that in the case of Harvard, Harvard is in many respects violating federal law. They just are. And they say, but we're entitled to the money anyway. And they're not. And it'll be interesting and impactful to see how it turns out.
And what federal law is Harvard violating?
Yeah, which one?
Well, here's what I think Harvard is doing. Harvard practices ideological capture. They don't practice viewpoint diversity. I think among not the sciences, but the humanities, Harvard teaches, for example, that the world is divided between oppressors and the oppressed. And oppressors should be punished, and they're evil, like America, Israel. The oppressed are victims, and they should be helped at any cost. I think that leads Harvard to support racial quotas. I think they're still using racial quotas. I think that supports Harvard to believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to harm the Jewish people. And I think that violates most of the civil rights laws. Now, the way out of this, the federal government said, look, Harvard, are you doing this? Harvard says no. The government says, well, how do we know that? And Harvard says, I give you a pinky promise. Maybe we were at one time, but we're not anymore. What Harvard needs to agree to is a monitor, a monitor that they pick. And Trump has offered this to them. Let Harvard pick a monitor to verify that they're not breaking federal law. Now,
what?
I'm sorry, a monitor? You got me
I know.
fucked up.
So the claim basically is that Harvard is practicing and or teaching about diversity, about equity, about inclusion, and in a racist, bigot, white supremacist mind, that's illegal. So the reason that I emphasize these kinds of things is because this is the stuff that perpetuates in the minds of mouth breathers. That they will say, Harvard's violating the law. So he couldn't name the law. Thank goodness Joe Scarborough, who's a cowardless fuck himself, thank goodness he asked him the question at least. Like, what federal law are they violating? Like, what federal law? Just because you think, just because there are some people out there that think Canadian maple syrup is better than Vermont, doesn't mean it's true. Just because you think that doesn't mean it's true. I'm just saying. For an example, just because the racist, fascist, bigot John Kennedy thinks that Harvard is violating federal law doesn't mean they are. This is the stuff that we have to fight through here, right?
Yeah.
Law from Ari. What's true, though? No. You're wrong, Ari. You could go sit down in the back if you generally think that Canadian maple syrup is better. Come on now. Sorry, Victoria, go ahead.
You're fine. No, this goes to I was having this conversation. If you're so unconfident in your own beliefs that you feel like you have to press those on other people, then your beliefs weren't good to begin with. Because it's like your religion. You should not be worried. If you do everything right as a parent, teaching your religion, educating it, you should not be threatened by other ideas. You should not be threatened on what happens outside of your house, outside of your beliefs.
Correct.
I have this conversation with my children all the time where I'm like, look, mama and dada, we have our own beliefs and that's ours. Sometimes you're going to find people that are different than us and that's okay. As long as they do not harm you or harm your body, then you come to mama and dada and we handle that. Let us be the ones to do that. And they understand to some extent. And I mean, I'm not worried about them learning about religion, even with my own opinions about it. I'm not worried about them learning about other cultures because I know where we stand. I'm not worried about them coming in contact with a racist or a bigot because we raised them in a house full of love. And I have to know that my education, my parenting, my, the way that we treat everyone is going to rub off on them. Now, if I have to course correct because they have a racist friend at some point, they are two white boys who will likely come in contact with that, I will. But I know that my raising them, they're not going to accept that, because that you can, when you're introduced to all these different types of cultures, you're less likely to be susceptible to those mindsets.
Exactly. I mean, that's what being liberal is. Like it's not the flex they think it is when you call somebody liberal. It's not the insult that they think it is.
Can you send me some Vermont maple syrup? I think I need to test this theory that you're saying it's better, because I've always been a Canadian maple syrup fan, but like, I feel like we should test this theory.
Do you need to be yeeted right from this space, like permanently? Because okay, listen, you know what? I'll be fair.
I've not tasted Vermont syrup. I don't know that I have. So I don't know.
So our friend Upstate Reeb also threw down, made the claim that New York State syrup was better than Vermont. So I said, okay, then you just tell me. And then lo and behold, she does the taste test and determines for herself that Vermont maple syrup is in fact better. So here's Jen to come up to our wife. Also, I will gladly send you some. Hi, Jen. How are you?
The whistle barrel, the thing that we got, the whistle pig is amazing from Vermont. Just letting you know, Victoria.
I am a very particular maple syrup person, so I would like to taste it, because like I don't taste crap syrup. I need proper, and maybe a glass bottle syrup.
Like, it was a glass bottle syrup. So
okay, good.
You can get it at Whole Foods.
I'm just saying.
I might have to go to Whole Foods this weekend.
you might have to do. Well, I tell you what, I will hook you up. I got you.
Thanks.
I got you. But you're right. So again, listen. So when we formed the new country of Antifa, one big advantage for Canada is they get to improve the quality of their maple syrup, because Vermont becomes part of Antifa. So that's a win right there for our Canadian neighbors. Now, Canada is a close second, but let's be real. It's Vermont maple syrup. People think about Canada. Yeah, I know. People think about Canada. You don't think about syrup. You think about hockey, back bacon, cricket. Curling. You think about Vermont. You think about Vermont. You think of syrup, hippies, patchouli, and weed. In that order. Thank you, Jen. Yes.
You're also think
you can drop me down.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Yes.
There was something else I was going to say I thought about when I think about Canada, but it left my brain, because brain things, be doing brain things.
I get it. So as we were just talking about Harvard, and I found this sound because it's this crazy. So this was, I don't know who's out speaking to a group of MAGA voters in their red hats, but I just want you to listen to this conversation, because the right likes to go after Harvard. Meanwhile, a lot of the people that are going after Harvard are Ivy League educated. So the education in our country, this is wild.
Just wonder too, I mean, how come everybody I know of that went to college is a Biden supporter? Yeah. And I don't understand how everybody is a Biden supporter if you just went to college. So what are they teaching in this college? Are they teaching anything?
Everybody that I know of that went to college is a Biden supporter. I don't understand. What are they teaching there? Why are they all Biden supporters?
It's because of critical thinking. It's okay. Critical thinking is the reason that we're Biden supporters or Democrat supporters. It's not a fucking liberals. It's the water. We drank some water at the college, and not only did we catch the liberal, we caught the gay.
Okay, I'm going to bring up Chris A, because I think Chris A wants to throw down about the syrup wars. We might have to reinstitute the syrup wars. I saw you chirping. You can defend if you'd like to. Feel free. You can defend. You can defend. Go ahead.
No, Vermont maple syrup is fine, and Victoria, you'll love it. It's moist. So
But anyway,
it is moist. It's very moist.
Victoria. So you'll love it.
It's golden and it's moist. So true.
But Steve, you really got to work on the Boston accent because I mean you're a little bit off. You're trying, but you just.
Dude, I don't live there. Like whatever.
I know
dude,
you
I
don't
live
there because you're saying things
whatever.
like I don't live there. So you know.
I do my best, dude. Like whatever. Yeah. Fucking whatever, dude.
Listen,
like, whatever.
Listen, kid. It ain't really there.
Listen, kid. Ma.
Listen, kid.
Where's your ma? Go talk to ma, will you, please?
Listen,
whatever.
Say hi to your mom for me. But
say hi to your ma for me.
But you know the whole thing with that Senator Kennedy. You know that's all an act. He doesn't actually talk like that. You can go back to 2004. He was running as a Democrat for senator.
I know.
He didn't talk anything like that.
You know, and you know the story behind that. There was a study done on this, and because he ran as a Democrat, he intentionally tried to lose his accent so he could sound smarter.
Right. Well, he went to Vanderbilt. He got his law license. He got his law degree, Virginia Tech, and he went to Oxford.
That's
so he's
right.
Not an idiot.
He's not.
His plays
one on crazy TV. Though. Well, isn't that crazy though? Like he literally tries to get rid of his accent so he could sound smarter, run as a Democrat. Then he decides I can't win as a Democrat, so I'm going to dumb this shit down to my fucking mouth breathers, and they'll elect me. And sure enough, they did.
Exactly. Yeah. And besides, I don't care what the other guy says. You have nice tits. So
thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
All right.
Whatever, dude.
Say hi to your mom for me.
Say hi to your mom for me. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like whatever.
Yeah,
go away. Whatever.
Can we circle back to the nice tits thing real quick? Because when I hear people do that, it is an attempt to get you to be misogynistic and to be to fall into it because it's a reactionary. They're hoping that you're going to react to it in a way where you try to reclaim your masculinity. But the sexiest thing you did was own it.
I don't care.
Fuck them. I like a nice dad bod. I don't know what the fuck that dude was talking about.
Yeah,
it's giving shrimp dick personality.
Yeah. Again, I'm just trying to imagine sitting in the request box. He was in there for a few minutes and then waiting to come up and do that. I don't give a shit. I really don't. If I don't have time to worry about whether or not I have socks. I mean, you know, listen, I was Division I athlete back in the day, but now I'm Division 29. If there even is a division. I used to ski race. I used to play basketball. I was a Division I athlete in baseball. You know, I was in great shape. Not anymore. I dragged my leg. I dragged my leg across the kitchen. If I didn't do yoga, I couldn't stand. So I am what I'm not afraid to take off my shirt in public. I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck. Yeah. You know why that is? Because I'm comfortable in myself. That's why. That's why.
I mean, he was just trying. It was a low blow. It was a low go, and he failed. He wasn't even good at what he did. So
no, because you're right. Because he expected me to react, and I did not. I'm too old for that. All right. So Rand Paul. We were talking about Rand Paul before. Rand Paul is interesting because I will say, thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate you. Thank you, guys. I want to blush. Victoria didn't even have to do it.
Silver facts.
Rand Paul is consistent. Okay, he's consistent and whatever. Damn it! God damn it! He is.
Do not take the Lord's name in vain.
He is probably one of the true people who claims to be a libertarian. He's probably as close to an actual libertarian. Would you agree? He's probably as close to a libertarian that we have in Congress. He says he is, and he's probably as close to it, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's always been against overspending. So he's now on the record saying, I'm not going to support this bill. Why are we increasing the deficit? So in the way in which he describes it, especially he's on Fox, which is weird that he'll do it there, but no one brings him on anywhere else. So this is what he had to say about this.
What do you need to see in this bill to be on board?
The problem is it's asking conservatives like myself to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. That's historic. No one's ever raised the debt ceiling that much. It will be a record for Congress to raise the debt $5 trillion. But also it indicates that this year the deficit will be over $2 trillion, but it means they're anticipating close to $3 trillion for the next year. it's really a slap in the face at those of us who are excited about Elon Musk and Doge and all the cuts. Where are the cuts? If the cuts are real, why are we going to borrow $5 trillion?
A really good point. Remember, don't forget, MAGA Mike and the mouthpieces and Triple K Caroline and everybody else would be going saying, oh, no, this is debt neutral. We're going to reduce the deficit. And Rand Paul's like, no, I could just read the bill. We already know that the deficit, the debt's going to increase $2 trillion this year. You asked for a $5 trillion increase, which means you're going to increase the debt over the next 3 years as well. So what are you talking about? So it's if the cuts are real, exactly. If the cuts are real, where are they? Are you familiar? There's this thing called the Laffer curve. The Laffer curve is what the right likes to go to. They talk about the Laffer curve. Instead, they want to use the Laffer curve to talk about whether or not the bill is going to increase the deficit and our debt instead of the CBO score. Anything they can to try to pivot away. And they're using that now. And he has, somebody mentioned Thomas Massey. Thomas Massey may be a bit more libertarian than Rand Paul. I think that's fair. Is Massey from Kentucky too? I think he is. Maybe something in the water down there. It's the bourbon. But it's a really good point. Like, like I said the other day, you cannot be fiscally conservative and socially liberal. You can't be. It's a big myth that people have been telling you for years. I used to think I was that way myself, but you can't be. You cannot be fiscally conservative and socially liberal. I'll tell you why. Because you should support expanding spending on social programs like public health, like education, things like that, like proper taxation. I have no problem with deficit spending as long as it's spent the right way. You can't be fiscally around your house. Maybe, you could say, I'm really conservative around, like I've only got 29 subscriptions to streaming services or whatever the hell the number is. But, you can be conservative that way. But big picture from a policy perspective, no.
And it's also being physically conservative is like not what, to your point, is not actually what you think it is, because it's actually more cost effective to have universal health care, to have social programs, because it means less people are going to be struggling throughout. It means less medical debt, less people like having to worry about it. It also is better for companies if they don't have to worry about covering your medical and your vision and your dental. It is actually more conservative to do that because you're not having to front those costs, and people aren't, and it takes out the middleman. Like, the idea that Democrats and liberals and progressives are penny pinchers is the most asinine, like the asinine statement. My dad and mom were raised in basic poverty, and those things pass down. So a lot of people are like, well, you look like you're rich. It's like, no, I'm not rich. It's better to have money than to look like you have money. So, like, there are things that I do that people are like, well, you look rich. No, I'm not rich. I just spend my money in places that I want to. And I spend a lot of time telling myself I'm poor so I don't overspend. And I don't go out and buy whatever, sometimes to a fault because trauma. But,
sure.
Again, like, this is the mentality and the lies that are told by the right so that somehow they can weaponize poverty against everyone. And it's why the statement stands, and I heard it here on TikTok and I've shared it. The reason that conservatives and Republicans vote the way they do is because they can see themselves being a millionaire or a billionaire. They can't see themselves being educated. And that is why they vote the way they do.
That's a really good point, right? It's because I talk about how mediocre white men are, conservatives are the problem, and the conservative base in America is fueled primarily by mediocre white men because they didn't achieve, because they maxed out as assistant to the assistant to the assistant at the Waffle House. They think that nobody else should have access to education. Like you just discussed, and I'm glad you brought it up. Investing, we live in capitalism. Take it for, late stage capitalism, horrible. I can go off on a tangent on a different life about that, but we live in it, which means in a capitalist society, a consumer-driven society, consumers need to spend money. So if you provide a system like investing in universal healthcare, for example, that gives consumers the ability to have access to healthcare. They don't have to just take a dead-end job. I've said this scenario, and I'll say it again. and Victoria could probably relate to this. There are people in our country, right? We'll use single moms as an example. We know that we have a massive shortage of childcare. There are people in our country that will take their 6 weeks of maternity leave or whatever they get if they're lucky. They will put their kid in daycare. They'll go back to work so that they can maintain their insurance. Every dollar they earn goes to pay for their childcare. Make that make sense. Make it make sense.
I'm one of those people.
It doesn't. Exactly. It doesn't.
Yeah, legitimately. Until I moved out of the logistics, because logistics notoriously does not pay well. My paycheck almost solely would go to daycare just so that because I had access to better health insurance and it was easier for myself to get it. My mom is a great example of this. She worked, so she was what we considered a benefit slave. Like, she only worked in the places that she worked because of the insurance. She enjoyed her jobs, but it was that thing of even when she got sick, and she was a teacher, a Spanish teacher, all those things. She continued to work even though she knew that she was actively unaliving, so that we wouldn't go into medical debt, to the point that like she worked herself to the bone. And when it finally came down to it, and she would go back and forth off of disability because she needed the income, but it wasn't enough money, and the care wasn't as good. So I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of people are spending the last 6 months of their lives, or they're spending their lives working these positions, myself included, that they're not passionate about because they're stuck to the desk for the benefits. They're stuck there
Correct.
for their 10 days paid off a year with 11 holidays, and maybe they'll get sick time, maybe they'll get paid maternity leave, but like they're stuck because the insurance is the only way that they can stay, afloat.
ANTIFA, welcome to your Friday. Thank you for being here. I'm a big fan of yours. I'm glad you're here. What's on your mind today, friend?
Okay. So I have a wish. Is that what's going on? Okay.
Yeah.
So, my the big one with me is the Roe v. Wade thing,
Sure.
and I just want to have a conversation with one of those, and I don't talk to those people, but I want them to understand that there are 400,000 kids in the foster care system, right? Can you guys hear me? What the hell's going on?
You've got bars. You keep cutting in and out. It's like that may be the issue. You've got the bars of death.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah? Yes, but you've got the bars. Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
What's happening? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. I'm going to drop it down and then come. Yes. Yes. Go for it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the thing with Roe v. Wade, there are 400,000 kids in the foster care system, right? Good. Okay. You know what?
Yeah, top off the Bluetooth. I was just going to suggest that. There's a lag, friend. I think maybe get off the Bluetooth. Maybe get off of your AirPods.
All right. Let me do that. And I'm going to turn off the Bluetooth. Give me a second.
Okay.
While she's doing that, for the person in the comments who said, yes, most companies in the United States are not required to give you any time off. In fact, like most companies up until I moved, it was only 10 paid vacation days. And that was your sick time as well. So
yeah, you can accrue. Yeah,
you can accrue.
You can accrue. That's right. So like CTO or PTO. Yeah. Welcome back, friend.
Hi. So here's I'm turning this off. This is ridiculous. Okay. All right. So the thing is that there are 400,000 kids in the foster care system, right? and it's just a terrible system. Like, for instance, my grandson at some point, I'm in a different state than he was living in, so I couldn't get him, and he ended up in there for a little while. And at one point, his case manager, he was here, but his case manager during that time, he was here before I got him legally. And during that time, she called me and asked me where he was. So they lose kids like they lose mail, memos, you know. So there were 400,000 kids in there. That's one thing. The other thing is there are women that get pregnant, like, you know, there are mentally ill women that get pregnant. Yeah, it's irresponsible. There are irresponsible women that get pregnant. There are, you know, women that at this point can't even get that done in states, even if they're, you know, having miscarriages. And I can't seem to find anybody that will understand this foster care system, number one. I mean, they lose kids. 60% of kids or people that have been in or are in the foster care system are trafficked. I mean, that's just, those are the numbers. I mean, I'm not trying to be that's a good case for it, but that's just the numbers. So
yeah, no, I get that. Yeah,
right.
So what would your wish be then? What would your wish be then? Getting back to the topic.
My wish would be that these people would understand that a lot of money needs, because these kids will be born. I mean, that's a fact. More kids will be born, and a lot of money needs to be put into that system. And this country has that money. This country has the money to hire responsible people that are educated enough to take care of that. This country has enough money to fund places that these kids are traumatized. They need to go, you know, they need therapy. They need all kinds of services, and they just won't do that. But they want them born. So I want one of the, because none of them will give me an answer. It's always like, you're a baby or whatever. So, you know, I just don't understand that. I can't wrap my head around that. And so
no, you're right. Like, well, yeah.
You know, listen, if they don't want to elect, you know, a Democrat for it, then at least demand that.
I agree. I think the whole system needs to be flipped upside its head. I totally agree. We've got the money to do lots of things, and it's about, like we always talk about, don't tell me what your values are, show me your budget.
Right.
Thank you for being here today, Antifa.
Okay,
I appreciate you very much. Friend.
Okay, bye-bye.
You got. See you later. All right, bye-bye. Yeah, the whole foster system, that's obviously something that needs to be addressed. I want to just go back. Real quick. I just want to go back. This is a real life story. So, I remember, and thankfully I had a good employer who's flexible, but the aftercare. So my daughter was tiny baby. My boys would walk across the parking lot from elementary school to the rec center for their after school, which is probably common in a lot of towns. So it was like, you know, they would walk across the parking lot. Their first foray into independence. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays are the days, because the only days that I could afford. They had a policy there that if parents were 1 minute late past 4:30, not even till 5, they wouldn't even give you till 5 o'clock. If you were 1 minute late past 4:30, it was $10 a minute per kid. So I remember many days of like burning rubber. The 7.3 miles it took me to go from my office to the aftercare facility, screaming into the parking lot, literally walking in the door as the clock ticked 4:31, saying that, you have to give you a bill for $20, and then just refusing to pay it because I'm just like, there's no way in hell. Or you're stuck in the line of cars trying to get the 2 parking spots that you could get so that you could get inside, and then all the parents saying the same thing. No, we're not paying for that. We're not paying for that. That is an example of the kind of stuff we're talking about. So when we went to the exercise yesterday about universal pre-K and or childcare, countries that decide, I want to make our society better because I'm going to invest. I'm going to invest in our children. You know, God forbid, I'm so damn radical, Victoria, because I want kids to eat. I am so damn radical that I want women to have rights to their body. I am so damn radical. I believe that, I think healthcare, shelter, food, water should be a given for everybody on earth. I don't care where you come from, who you are, what you do. We spend more money per pupil, TJ. TJ, you can't follow I'm not even going to bother. I'm not going to even engage with you. You don't even know what that means. We spend more money per pupil. You don't know what that means, though, TJ. You don't know. You should go back. Go back to my live yesterday. Go back to my live yesterday. Watch it on YouTube, and then come back because that's a free lesson for you. I should charge you like $1,000 because you're dumb. But you should go watch that because you might learn something. You might find out what it is that we are actually spending on. Other countries spend less and get better results. We don't in our country because it's people like you who live in red states who don't give a fuck. And by the way, TJ, I'm going to petition all undocumented immigrants to stop paying their federal taxes because those undocumented immigrants are paying federal taxes that go to support you. Mm-hmm. So good luck. Good luck. I hope you get a raise at the Waffle House. I hope so. Sorry.
I mean,
go ahead, Victoria.
I don't think we should dog on the Waffle House, but past that, I got shit the other day.
Hey, look at that comment. Look at that comment that I just made his argument. You're so dumb, dude. You are so dumb. You don't get it. You are so dumb. Oh my God. Wow.
Anyway, I just got, speaking on this childcare thing. So school gets out at 2:45, right? Or 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock if you're in the preschool. And then at 2:45 if you're in regular school hours. And so right now, my oldest is in summer school, and he asked to go to summer school. I believe that we should have year-round school because, one, I don't like the huge break that they take in the summer. I know that teachers like it, but I think it's detrimental to students, and it gives teachers more time to teach. And to your point yesterday, make for better critical thinking if you're not rushing to test, right?
Absolutely.
So that aside, of course, that's a radical idea. But I got
totally
shit
radical,
from a friend because we're bringing my oldest home, and he hangs out in the house while I work. And they're like, "Well, how old is he?" I was like, "He's 5." And they're like, "Well, can't you just work inside with him?" It's when when my kids were that age, I stayed home with them. Blah blah blah. This is a woman, mind you. She's ingested the misogyny and the patriarchy and just fully consumed. And I said, one, I'm like 50 feet away from him if needed. Two, I don't want to pay for daycare for him to go for like an hour and a half. And 3, he has to be able to have some independence and autonomy. And this gives him that opportunity where he's only alone for about an hour and 15 minutes. But past that, I'm not doing anything harmful. I go in and check on him while I'm working. I schedule all my meetings earlier in the day or after his dad gets home from school. Mr. Victoria gets home from work. So the fact that she is sitting here, and the point is right fucking there, that our school systems aren't meant for working moms. He's 5 years old, guys. That, and side note, this is a child that was born. He is a pandemic baby. He and his brother are pandemic babies. I spent the majority of their little adult life, or their little child lives, working from home with both of them home with me because of the mishandling of C-19 and the pandemic. So I have gotten used to working and being a full-time parent.
Yep.
The idea that somehow I'm doing the wrong thing by this kid being in the house, who literally FaceTimes me while I'm working, because he needs me to wipe his butt because he's on the toilet is asinine. And it's like, okay, I put forward these ideas of why don't we have school that coincides with our work schedules? Why don't we have programs that help? Why are work schedules more flexible to children's schedules? Because we all fucking know. Exactly. But that's too radical. It's too radical for me to want these things. It's too radical to want those. And yeah, like I see comments where people, you're a good mom, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I am. But like that's a baseline. It should be easier for parents to parent their children, because if the right always makes the argument, the point of the exercise is to continue to procreate, then we should make it easier for parents to procreate and raise their families. However you decide to have a family, it should not be a struggle.
Agreed.
I like
not in the richest nation in the world. There's no excuse for it. I have the Tiger. Good morning. What's on your mind today?
Good morning. I just called my representative, and she told me that I needed more people to call their representatives and ask a specific question to find out the answer. I'm very concerned about these children being taken out of foster care and being deported. We do not know that they're being deported. We do not know the hands in which Trump is putting them into. So my question to my representatives was, I need to know the name, not the entity or the country, the name of the person in which the United States of America is taking these children away from a United States family and putting them into a country's, wherever they're doing. I need to know the name that the United States is handing these children over to, because I need to know that they are not being sex trafficked, which is something Trump would do, and they're not being trafficked for labor. So if I could get your audience to please call the representatives and demand to know who we as a country are handing these children off to, they will start an investigation.
It may not be one entity. That's the problem. It could be a variety. It could be a syndicate. It could be a network. But I think that's fair advice. I mean, this is an unrecognized and forgotten community, the community of foster children in our nation. And shout out and hats off to the caring, compassionate, empathetic, and understanding foster parents out there, because there's a lot of them. But we also know that it's a system that is rife with abuse. Not just fraud, corruption, but actual abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, etc. So I agree. Contact your representatives. It's a fair question.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me up.
You got it. Thanks for being here. Have a good day.
Yes.
Take care.
For the people asking in the chat, they are arresting foster children of a certain melanin complexion. And this is where, going back to the foster care system, this is where radical ideas really come out. How about, and hear me out here, instead of paying foster families, medicine could fix the issue. Why not give that to the families so we don't have to break families up? I'm not talking about extreme situations where the child needs to be removed because of illicit use or abuse, those kind of things. If money and access to food would solve the problem, we should be giving that money to the families so that they can stay together, giving them access to resources so that we don't have a foster care system. Because I know a lot of Republicans who will not and do not foster, do not adopt, because they're like, well, those children are broken. I'm sorry. Did I ask you what the status of the child was? You said all children's lives matter. Why aren't you out here saving them and investing in them? Well, I can't afford that. The point could have hit you faster in the face that you just said all that. Adoption is expensive, and foster care system, adopting out of the foster care system has its own limitations. Tennessee is a reunite state, so they will not put children up for adoption until a certain point. But there are other states that do, but most people want babies out of the foster care system and the adoption system. They don't want grown children.
Again, it's the prioritization of the things that we should value in our country that we don't. It's really simple. I mean, and this is on all of us. right? This is on all of us. This is the society that we become for a variety of reasons. It's easy to point fingers, and there are reasons to point fingers, but apathy, entitlement, laziness, just lack of, laziness. Say it again. A lot of this is just, there are examples. The reason I went through the exercise this week about healthcare and education is because there are models around the world that work. And it's just because those societies have made a commitment that they are willing to invest. And you ask everybody in those countries that have the access to universal healthcare, they're never going to give it up. They'll complain about it because every system is worthy of criticism, but they're never going to give it up if pressed. Are you kidding me? You're not going to take that away from me. And then people are staggered when we say that there are only 2 to 3 weeks of vacation that are guaranteed. A lot of companies, I used to work in that industry where one of my responsibilities was to identify progressive benefits packages. And what companies were moving to, they even Gallup did this research study across Fortune 100 companies. And you know what the number one, so when employees were given an option as to what they wanted, did they want additional PTO day? There was a few factors. What they decided more than anything else, even more so than money, was recognition. Employees just wanted to be recognized for the work that they do, for their contributions, to know that they're not just a number, that they actually have value. So that should tell people, and it was never able to convince my leadership team of that, which is one of the reasons I left corporate America, giving up a really, really good job that my life would be a lot different now if I didn't. But that was just a moral decision that I made. Like, I can't prescribe to this anymore. Stop devaluing people. Stop looking at people as commodities and numbers. The dehumanization of people. No respect for the workforce at all. In particular, women in the workforce. Who, by the way, outproduce men at every fucking level. Every metrics. I'm not talking about collar primarily. I'm talking about office jobs, administrative positions. I'm talking about cube land. Outperform men at every metric there is. Every one. And it's not even close. But women get stigmatized because they're the ones that are perceived in society to be, and this isn't fair to men, I'll be clear, that women, the perception that corporate America has is that women are the only ones that are there to take care of their kids. We know that's not true. It is on the majority side, but not the only ones. So corporations, hiring managers, CEOs, and leaderships look at women and say, well, we can't have too many women in those leadership positions because they're all out taking care of their kids at the same time. What happens to productivity? You know what women do? Figure it the fuck out. Because that's what y'all have always done. You figure it the fuck out. Y'all figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. I mean, and this goes to, women have to experience, I've experienced this, where we had literal conversations at university, in university classes, of how to do job interviews and how to, what we needed to do to make sure that we could still get the job. So it's not wearing jewelry, not wearing too much makeup, not wearing, if you were engaged or married, wearing the wedding band. Most people didn't even know I was married because I made sure that wasn't a conversation, because I'd already experienced it at a job where they literally wanted to know if I was going to come back from work. And they wanted a 2-year verbal commitment from me that I wasn't going to leave the company. The fact that my marital status was a thing, and these are people that I would have considered friends, because it was in the industry I was going in, it was someone my dad knew, but that's the experience. And then when we talk about those things, we're like, well, and the misogyny and the patriarchy come rolling out of men and women who are like, well, you're less likely, it's your job to stay home and take the kids. I have a video from a year ago of what the questions that I got asked when it came to getting married and my husband's comfort. Mr. Victoria is a nice little radical, but so much of our relationship revolved around, well, how does that make him feel? I don't give a fuck how it makes him feel. He married me. We're partners. And it's do you think we've not already talked about this? Do you think see it come out in industries like this, to land my plane. We see it come out in these companies. We see it there. But this is going to take everyone to combat these because, like, yeah, we witness this in the workplace. We witness this out in public when you're going out shopping and someone helps the dad because he's struggling with 2 kids. But literally no one turns around to help the mother who's struggling with 2 kids. Nobody stops.
Exactly.
Like, these are things that you should be conscious of. Go out to your store and watch the mothers struggle coming in the store with the kids, or get comments if the kid's screaming or whatever. If you catch yourself doing that, you are participating in the patriarchy. So stop commenting on behaviors of children when you're out in public. So these are all things that we can do to fight this system.
See, TJ, the issue that we're having,
I don't believe you, TJ.
Right now, it's not that I don't believe you, that, you know, Victoria doesn't give a fuck if you're going to sit here in a TikTok live and announce it. Just fucking do it. It's like dudes with tiny wrenches don't talk about the size of their wrench. So stop trying to shine the fucking light on yourself, my guy. You're just weak.
You don't get brownie points for doing the thing.
Exactly. I remember a scenario where when we were out working from home during C19, this was before just like a month before I got promoted to CMO. We were on a leadership call, and one of the rules that our pillar had asked is that everybody turn their camera on, which we all thought was reasonable, no big deal. One of my colleagues, who I knew was just coming back from maternity leave. They weren't full time in the office yet. They weren't full time working yet. She was nursing. She turned her camera off. They asked her to turn her camera on. It's like, guys, I don't know if it's the right time. And they said, well, you kind of need to. So she turned her camera on, and there's her newborn latched on during the meeting. And it made so many people so fucking uncomfortable. And she just fucking owned it. She didn't give a shit how she looked. She didn't give a shit. So this is an example, right? This is an example of how pathetic that is. So if it's my wish, if it's my wish, this isn't even political. If it's my wish, dudes, shut the fuck up, get the fuck out of the way, and let women lead. Shut the fuck up, get out of the way, and let women lead.
I got to talk to TJ for a second. TJ, being a gentleman that's not a flex, because I don't believe you. In fact, I want you to request up because I can prove to this entire chat that you are not a gentleman.
I'm not bringing him up.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's not worth
fine.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, because you're not a gentleman. Because the fact that you're in the comments talking about it, instead of pointing out moments where you've recognized, point it out. Our friend Stevefin was in there saying when they talk about men babysitting their kids, you're not babysitting. You were involved in the making of that baby. You are parenting. The word you're looking for is parenting.
TJ, you can run around. TJ, I am so afraid of you, my guy. Oh my gosh, I am shaking in my boots. I am so
No, he's
afraid
protecting
to talk,
you from me.
to talk to a misogynist bigot. I'm so afraid of you, TJ. Oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do. How will I recover from the fear that I have talking with TJ?
He just doesn't want a 3-hour message coming after when I completely demolish you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like, Victoria, listen, I got to go do some work. So we've reached noon. Final thoughts today, my friend?
Look, guys, get involved. Activism is a muscle. We need to hold our representatives accountable. If you want to see an example of that, go watch me hold my Tennessee State Senate candidates or representatives accountable. Today's a good day to get involved. No Kings protest tomorrow. They're happening all over the country. If you would like to join, if you're in Tennessee and you would like to see me, I will be at the Murfreesboro No Kings in the morning, and then I will also move to the Winchester where I'm speaking, and I'll probably record that. So, yeah, get involved today, guys. Drink some water and blue.
Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate you. Last reminder, friends, we're gonna rate our Zeus. Please tell him we said hi when you head on over there. Just as a last reminder, we are attempting to raise some money for our friend Brett, so they can get the hell out of Nikki Cross, so they can get the hell out of Uvalde. If you want to support the channel, there's a couple of ways you can do it. In the link tree that's in my bio, you'll see the link to the Facts HQ. Facts HQ is also the home of our merch store. The first merch item you see is a T-shirt with the caption that says, "Sound of children screaming has been removed." That is in direct response to a video that was edited to hide the sound of children screaming as they were being unalived at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, the day that their son lost his life. So if you want to support them by purchasing that shirt, any and all proceeds that we make between the sale of those shirts between today and next Friday, all proceeds will go directly to them. The link to their GoFundMe is also there, as well as Brett's Cash App. Lots of ways you guys can do that. Thank you all for being here today. We're going to do Facts After Dark tonight, 7 o'clock. Not exactly sure of the topic yet, but it will be, I know a lot of people have got a lot on their mind, so it could be an Are You Okay? It could be some fun. I don't know yet. I've got to fight to keep my business alive, which I'll be doing now. Everybody, please go and say hi to Zeus for us. I love you all. I love you, mods. If I don't speak to you guys, it's Father's Day weekend. If you get your half hour,